We go down to St. Cloud, Minnesota. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Well, hello, Bruce. Thank you for taking my call.
You're most welcome, baby.
I listen to your show. It's my favorite show. I have learned so much from your show, and I just want to thank you so much.
Well, thank you, dear.
Oh, yes.
What's on your mind in Minnesota?
Well, tell you what. I have the opportunity, the chance to buy a car with only 5,000 miles on it. It's a 93. And they're asking $10,000 for it. It's a smaller car. And mine is an 88. And mine has 60,500. And probably about the most that I could get for mine would be about $4,000.
All right.
But my car doesn't use oil. It's a nice car. I like it. It's comfortable.
I mean, you had this car since it was new, is that correct?
Yes, right.
So the car is 7 years old.
Right.
All right. And it's got 65,000 miles on it.
Right.
Well, what does that work out to?
What do you mean?
It works out to about 10,000 miles a year.
Oh, yeah, right.
A little less,
yeah.
right?
That's right.
Well, and so the likelihood is that the car you're driving now will probably last another 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
You like the car.
Oh, I
It's
like
comfortable.
it. I like it very much.
Your body kind of snuggles down the seat and says hi, right?
It has the nice bench seats, and the new car that I would be getting has bucket seats, and I really don't like them.
Well, why would you get the new car then?
Oh, because people have told me that it's such an opportunity.
What people?
Friends, people.
No, I don't know. That's why, if I knew, I wouldn't have asked you.
Okay, I'm
What
sorry.
people?
What people?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not putting them down, but they're my old lady friends, and I'm one of them, so I'm not putting them down.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
They're entitled to their opinion, and I'm an old man, and I'm entitled to mine.
Yeah.
And I think if you're comfortable with the car, it's paid for,
Yeah.
it runs fine, it doesn't burn any oil and whatever,
Right.
I could keep the car.
Thank you.
No,
I needed to hear that from you.
Oh, well, what year is your car?
It's an 88.
Well, I got an 87 that I drive.
Oh, yeah.
And you got 65,000.
Uh-huh.
I got 180,000
Oh,
plus.
good.
And I still drive it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't buy new cars as well, because I do.
Sure.
But this particular car has been running real great. I bought it new, and I just can't. I had it. A matter of fact, I just had it repainted.
Well,
looks like a brand new car.
Oh, sure. It's just that I can't pass up a bargain. See, and I.
Well, no, a bargain is only a bargain if you need it.
Yeah. Well, I don't need it.
Then that's not a bargain, then.
But I just thought, well, maybe it would be more prudent, if that's the right word to use, stretch the dollar,
No, you're stretching the dollar now.
Okay.
You don't have to carry collision and comprehensive insurance, which you clearly have to carry in the 93.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're going to save that. You're not going to have a depreciation, because the depreciation we've eaten that already. That pill has been swallowed.
Yep. Exactly.
And you're a very light driver. You only drive a couple hundred miles a week.
That's right. Oh, hardly that even.
Well, that's what it works out to.
Yeah,
if you
right.
Take the miles over these years.
That's right.
So in my opinion, baby, you're doing just fine.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I had this opportunity to talk to you.
Son of a gun.
Oh, thank you.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hartford, Connecticut, welcome to my world.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello there.
You've accompanied me across the New England states for the last many, many years, and it's just always a pleasure to find you as I travel throughout the New England states.
Well, thank you very much. What can we do for you this evening?
I have a situation where I was employed with a company as a commissioned salesperson.
What'd you peddle?
Computers.
Why am I cursed with computers? I buy them. I don't know if they are even. Go ahead. Okay, you're a computer salesman. You got me at a serious disadvantage. Go ahead.
Was not able to be paid commission in a timely fashion.
Why?
The owner of the company continuously put off paying me the money.
Didn't have it?
I didn't think he wanted to pay the amount that I was earning. So I subsequently quit the company with him owing me about $40,000.
40,000?
Yes.
You just all walked off and quit with that much dough on the table?
That's correct. I filed a suit with the Labor Department.
On what basis?
That he owed me back wages.
I see, okay.
The Labor Department ruled in my favor.
Okay.
Subsequently went to court.
Why? Wait a minute. The Labor Department ruled. Now, why are we in court?
Because he refused to pay.
Still refused.
Exactly.
Even in the face of a finding by the Department of Labor.
That's correct. Subsequently went to court. Under the state law, you're entitled to double damages if you go through that process. You're eligible for double damages.
Okay.
The court agreed with the Labor Department and awarded me double damages, which is now $80,000.
80 G's, okay.
We put in a prejudgment remedy on him to attach some of his receivables, and subsequently ended up with about $55,000 in cash, which leaves a balance of $25,000.
It sure does in my math.
In the process, the individual sold the company and moved to California. I'm still owed $25,000 with not a clue as to how to track him down or...
Was the judgment against him individually or the company?
Against the corporation.
Well, the corporation was probably folded.
Yes.
And there was an assets-only deal, right?
That's correct.
So the new corporation has no liability.
That's correct.
And you guys didn't get a judgment against the assets.
That's correct.
Why?
Transition in the Attorney General's office didn't allow that process to happen smoothly.
The Attorney General wouldn't be getting the judgment would be your responsibility.
Once the Labor Department made the judgment, the state took the legal responsibility to pursue it in court.
Sorry.
That's correct. So I did not have a personal attorney.
Well,
it was a state
sort of a loser on that, the way it worked out, huh? Because you can't sue the state attorney for...
That's correct.
For errors and omissions.
So I was hoping you could come up with some magical way.
Well, there's nothing magic about it. I would be willing to bet even money I could find them for you.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. But the fact is it worth spending the money? Finding him is only probably the easier task. It's pretty hard to get lost in this country. It can be done, and certainly some high-profile criminals have done so. But pretty hard to do. But the fact is, so we locate him, now what?
Try to track down any of the corporation's assets.
Did the corporation have assets?
Well, he sold some of the inventories and those kinds of things, and he got, near as I can figure, about $500,000 to $1 million.
Why in the world given all of this success, why would he duck you like this on the original $40,000?
It really blows my mind, Bruce. And the fact of the matter is that even with the PGR on some of the assets, he never showed up in the court.
Doesn't sound like the swiftest boat in the Navy, this guy, does it?
You got that?
Well, there are any number of detective agencies that will look for this guy for you. If you want to, well, Danny can give you a number. I'm not going to do a plug on the air, but I can put you in touch with a guy or two that I have confidence in. I'm not going to endorse him for you. Don't misunderstand me. No guarantees.
I understand.
Raise your right hand. I solemnly swear I hear no guarantees.
Right hand raised.
But these guys, make a living at this skip tracing, and they're pretty good. I used to do that for a living. And they're pretty good at it. Okay. It's not that difficult to do. I mean, I can't give you a dollar figure, but I would imagine a couple $1,000 would do it.
And they'd find the individual.
No guarantees, but I think there's a pretty good chance, yeah.
Now, would they be able to also find, Bruce, the asset?
Maybe. Depends how good this guy is. I mean, some people bury assets, better than a dog buries a bone.
Okay.
Other assets are far more difficult to bury. But you have to decide whether or not you want to start investing that money. You might say, gee, I got my $55,000. I think I'll take a hike.
That's why initially it was, but to have $25,000 just sitting out there.
Well, you don't have $25,000. You have a claim of $25,000.
That's correct.
Big difference. It's not $25,000 in a coffee jar just waiting to be found here, as long as the rainbow works.
That's correct.
It's a little more difficult. Now, think it over. You listen to K-pop up there, right?
That's correct.
It's not K-pop, though.
WP.
WP up there. We're on the wrong side of the Mississippi River.
That's correct.
If you decide you want to pursue it and you can't find someone, you drop me a note, care of the station, they'll forward to me.
Excellent.
Okay, guy.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure listening to you, Bruce.
Well, thank you very much.
Have a great one.
I shall indeed. Providence, Rhode Island. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
If you run for president, I'll vote for you.
So that makes about 1/2 vote. I appreciate that. Because I don't know if I'd vote for me.
Okay.
But
You're great.
Thanks for your kind words. What's on your mind?
Okay. My wife bought a property, house and an acre of land, advertised as having town water, among the other things that were advertised, naturally. This was 6 years ago.
Was she your wife at the time?
Yes.
Okay, why was she out buying something by herself? I'm just kind of curious.
I don't know. She wanted it for our son.
Oh.
At the time, who had just joined the Air Force, in fact. It was now in Okinawa. He expressed an interest at that time in living in this particular state, New York, upstate in the Adirondacks. Okay. So she went ahead and bought the house. It wasn't that expensive. It was, approximately $44,000. As I said, advertised as town water. Here we are 6 years later. The place is rented full-time, year-round. The people who are the tenants have expressed an interest in buying the property. The wife wants to sell it to them. So we start the transaction. Being a small town, this is in the Adirondacks.
You mentioned that.
It's a small town.
All right, now, hold on. We got a small town in the Adirondacks, which you've mentioned 3 times. We got a small amount of time in this segment. Hang on, guys. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Providence, Rhode Island. He has kind of talked me down in time here. His wife purchased a home for their son. There was a claim of city water. I got a feeling where we're going with this. 6 years later, you want to sell it, and presto, they're on a well.
No, it's not a well. What happened, Bruce, is this. The town water pipe does not include the property my wife bought. It ends in front of the house next door. What happened was, when the house was built, the builder asked the town water company if, even though the pipe ended in front of the house next door, could he hook up? And they said yes.
All right.
So he did. Now there's a question that if the pipe has to be replaced, meaning the pipe between my wife's house and the town water pipe in front of the house next door has to be replaced, it would probably entail a much more money to replace it than if it was in front of the house.
It's not a question about that. So
Okay.
what? So what?
Well,
nothing. So what? The water. What are the chances of that pipe having to be replaced?
Well, I don't know.
It's called a lot. It's the chances are incalculable.
Yeah.
In the short term.
But don't you think there was a misrepresentation?
No, what kind of water, when you opened up the tap, that came out of the tap?
Town water.
Bingo.
Okay.
Oftentimes.
I was afraid you'd say that.
No, it's true. Oftentimes, let's look at it this way. You want the water out in front of your house, right?
Right.
You have to drag the line yourself at your expense.
You're right.
A 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch main, even though all you need is a 3/4-inch tap.
Okay.
I mean, I've done it.
All right. Here, let me say one more thing. I pay, my wife pays, the same water bill that everyone else pays.
Absolutely.
Okay. A part of that water bill, the funds, goes for replacement of pipes.
Maybe so.
But I don't have any pipe.
That's unfortunate.
Okay.
What about the guy that wants to build a house maybe 2 doors from you, right? And the town says, sure, you can tap in. All you got to do is drag the line 300 feet, a 6-inch line.
Right.
Well, he only needs a 3/4-inch line. But at his expense, he's got to drag the line from where it is to where he needs it, and then give the pipe to the town.
Okay.
Happens all the time. What's right?
But wouldn't they charge him less for a water
Absolutely
bill?
not.
Because they don't have to replace any pipe.
Get your head out of the clouds, guy. That's done all the time. When a developer comes in and he wants to have sewers, for example, do you think they charge him less because he put the sewers in the streets?
No.
Well, of course not. You're paying to be a beneficiary because it raises the value of the property, having this utility available.
Right.
Well, that's the end of that.
So you don't, in your opinion, there's no misrepresentation.
When you opened up a tap, what kind of water did you get?
Town water.
Bingo. I've said it before. What more is to be said?
Case closed.
Case closed. I do wish you well, guys.
Thank you, Bruce.
All righty. Danny, where can we go from here? Vero Beach, Florida. Your turn. Thank you for your patience.
How you doing tonight, Bruce?
I'm doing okay, kid.
I just had a quick comment about the first caller you had this evening.
That was so many years ago. I've forgotten.
It was about the applications programmer who wanted to purchase some accounting software from.
Oh yeah. He wanted to buy to resell. Yeah.
Right. Well, let me explain why you would pay up front for a service like that.
Okay.
I'm also a software developer who's developed some software programs. I'm not going to mention the name or anything.
Oh, okay.
But when someone wants to sell my product, there's an awful lot of how should I say, one-man shops that come in and go out of the market awful quick.
All right.
And they come in, they want a copy of your software, they want to sell it, they want to try it out and see if they want to use it, okay?
Well, wait a while. He wants to try to sell it, not use it.
He wants to try and sell it. He's seen it, but he still hasn't tested it. He hasn't bought his first copy of the software yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that initial application fee that he's going to pay $6,000, I believe, was the fee for.
Yeah.
He's going to get at least a full version of the software.
But it only costs $1,000.
Well, he should be getting. Well, he said he's getting marketing. I do the same thing with my product. It costs a couple $1,000s to get. You get several copies of the software, marketing tools, everything else with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what that protects me from is the person who just wants a copy of it, and for me to set them up in business free of charge, and them make copies of my software and send it on to give it to whoever they want to.
Well, that's stealing your software, isn't it?
That's right, but right now there is no control in the United States for software theft.
Well, wait a while. It's a copyrighted.
It's copyrighted, sure, but how many times you see, people copying software and giving it to their friends?
Well, there's bootleg software, there's bootleg phonograph records, there's
right.
bootleg tapes, there's bootleg CDs, the list is endless.
The list is endless, and what the charge mainly is for is to keep the people who are really interested in your product and you're selling it, and they're going to use it and they're going to retail it for you. You're going to give them, they're going to make profit off it. They think it's good, but you're only getting the serious inquiries. You're reading out.
Well, you see, I probably would swallow that if you said, okay, after so much time.
Well, I'm sure
they'll give you your $6,000 back, or you had to put a $6,000 deposit up to show that you're solvent.
Well, that's another way to do it.
But just to pay $6,000 to sell your stuff.
See, if I sell a software program, retail value is $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sell it to you because you're going to resell it for me, I'll give you 3 copies of that at $3,000 to resell.
Well, it's $1,000 a piece.
That's $1,000 a piece.
All right.
I'm protecting my interests, and he's got an investment now where, hey, he's not going to give this away. I mean,
well,
in our industry, it's a little bit different.
Forget your industry or any other industry. If you said to me, look, the minimum first order is $6,000, and for that I'm going to give you 6 copies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any quarrel with that.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he probably had a couple copies of software included that, and he didn't mention it, because I've never seen a software package, no matter what distributor you go through, that will not give you the software up front. Included in the price.
Well, as long as what I'm trying to get to,
I
have no problem with making somebody buy so much inventory up front.
Mm-hmm.
But to charge them for the just pure charge, for the privilege of selling, we're not talking about a franchise where you're using their name and they get site selection, all the other things that go into that. Anyway, I appreciate your call.
Hey, no problem, and you have a good New Year's.
Hang in there, guy. From your lips to God's ears, we'll both do real well. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Pekin, Illinois. Hello there.
Hi.
Hello.
Long-time listener, first-time caller, Bruce.
Well, what took you so long?
Well, I don't know. I guess I could handle all my problems, but now I can't. I've got a question for you, Bruce.
Yes, ma'am.
I received in the mail a package for a cruise. My husband and myself, we've never been on a cruise.
Wait a minute, a package?
A package. They call it a package.
No, you mean a package offer of some kind.
Package offer, including all accommodations, cruise, and a rental car.
Yeah.
So basically what I want to find out from you, if I give you a couple of the details on this, whether we should take this or not.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Where is the cruise going to the Bahamas?
Yes, it is.
Forget it.
Okay.
How's that for a quickie?
That's a quickie. That's good.
There's nothing wrong with the Bahamas. Don't misunderstand me.
Mm-hmm.
But there are 2,476,599, I think, hustles for a cruise ship, ferry boat ride over to the Bahamas, probably to, well, it doesn't matter whether it's Nassau or Freeport, to a second-rate hotel. You're going to have to call the agency, and you're going to have to buy a coupon, and you have to pick 3 dates and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I already called them, and they said this is a promotional deal for people that have never traveled before.
Oh, of course.
It's $458 per person.
Right.
Includes everything. And I thought, I know I always throw these offers away when I get them, but this one didn't say you've won anything. It just said it was an opportunity if you want to take, you want to take the opportunity to get in on this package. So I thought, well, we've got to call Bruce and ask him.
Well, you want to go on a cruise to the Bahamas, call your local travel agent and look for a deal.
Okay.
You're in Illinois, huh?
Right. We'd have to fly out of Chicago or St. Louis.
Over to Lauderdale.
Well, okay, yeah, this is where this one...
Well, that's where the cruise ships go to the Bahamas go from.
Okay. They all go out of Fort Lauderdale?
Yes, well, not all, no. I'm sure there's some further up the coast, but a significant number go out of Lauderdale.
Okay.
It might be what is it, about a 3 or 4 day proposition?
4 days and 3 nights in Fort Lauderdale, and then 3 days on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And port of call is Blue Lagoon Island or Great Stirrup Cay.
Key.
Is that bad?
The way you pronounce it is Key, not K.
Okay.
It's spelled C-A-Y.
Right.
But it's pronounced Key.
Key, Great Stirrup Key.
Anyway.
I told you I didn't travel before.
That's all right. That's not a put down. Goodness gracious. It's, yet when they spell Key West, they say K-E-Y.
Right.
But if you see C-A-Y, it's for whatever reason it's pronounced Key. I don't know why.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the Bahamas, call your travel agent, in my opinion.
Great.
If you want to go on a cruise, go with me. That's even more fun.
Oh, it is?
Of course.
Well, we'll just have to look you up then.
Well, I'm doing one in June again.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to Alaska.
What boat is that on?
I don't want to go the whole routine here.
Okay.
We're doing a thing on the 28th of June.
Okay.
And it's a super ship and a super line, and it's going to be great. We've done it before. This is my 3rd or 4th trip to Alaska.
Okay.
And I have a great time. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time.
Okay, sweetheart.
Thanks very much.
There are so many of these promotions, and it would seem that Florida is the mecca for them. And some of the authorities in Florida become somewhat concerned because they all have one thing in common. You're not getting the bargain that they say you're going to get. In some cases, you get nothing whatever. Our telephone number 800-743-8000, 800-743-8000. An open line or two. Rocky Hill, Connecticut. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Hi, well, boy, Rocky. There are a lot of rocks in Connecticut, aren't there?
First-time caller.
Yes, ma'am.
First thing, can I clarify something about yesterday?
Say that again, please.
Yesterday, a caller called about spending account.
About what, dear?
Spending account. You know, where you had a question whether the employer can open an account.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, I work for an insurance company, and the IRS allows, it's a law that was passed by the Congress. The reason the employers don't offer it is a lot of paperwork, and it is extremely expensive to maintain everything and
to administer.
Administer. That's why they don't offer, not because they are lazy.
Okay, good point. What's on your mind tonight? What is on your mind tonight?
I have an unusual problem. I own a condominium which is rented. And the guy, since he moved in, has never paid rent.
That's not unusual. There's a lot of stiffs out there. How long has he lived there?
A year.
And you've let him stay without paying any rent for a year?
No, the first time I had to go to court after 5 months. And he uses legal aid. The guy makes $62,000 a year.
How much?
$62,000.
And how does he get legal aid?
I have no idea. That's my question.
I have no idea. It's certainly improper.
Because the first time he used legal aid, I went to court, and then he paid me all the rent and for 5 months, and I ended up paying the legal costs. Then he paid rent for 2 months, and then he stopped paying again. And he uses legal aid. And
when does his lease run out?
His lease runs out next year.
How much?
I had signed longer lease with him.
2-year lease?
Yeah.
When does it run out?
November.
Oh,
95.
Boy. Well, have you been trying to do this yourself? Or
no, I have an attorney.
And the attorney can't get him evicted?
No, because he keeps, he says, this is not fixed. As soon as you fix this one, I'll pay the rent. When you fix it, he says, it's not done properly. And then
he knows how to play the game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he knows basically how to play the game. But what I'm trying to find out, is there any recourse for me to have him not use legal aid?
Why don't you go and talk to the legal aid manager and say, my understanding is legal aid is for people who don't have any money. This guy makes $60,000 a year. How does he qualify?
I tried to do that with his attorney.
Yeah.
And he just shuns me off. He doesn't want to say anything. He says it's a client and...
Well, I understand that, but why not go down to his boss and say, I understand legal aid is funded by the public to protect those people who don't have any money. How does this guy qualify?
Okay.
See what he has to say.
Okay.
And if you don't get a good answer, this is the kind of thing that newspaper and television and radio reporters love to get into. How can a rich guy get legal aid?
Right.
Well, then go to the different media and say, we got a real problem here. I think it's worth investigating. See what they have to say. Get some youngster who's looking to make a name for themselves. You never know.
Right. The guy has threatened me.
Threaten you in what way?
He says, I'm going to sue you and I'm going to go after the lender if you do anything. And, he's just, it's a nightmare.
But truth is a great defense.
Yeah.
If you're sure he earns the kind of money you're describing, inquiring why he should take advantage of the taxpayer's money when he has his own is certainly a legitimate inquiry. Right. I do wish you well, dear. I'm Bruce Williams. You're welcome. This is Talknet. Frederick, Maryland, your turn. Welcome to my world.
Good evening, Bruce.
Hi.
Mike, I got a quick question, and I'm getting out of the military, and I'm, I guess, in the enviable position of being able to either buy a house or use my GI Bill for a mortgage. And
what, you mean you can buy cash if you wanted to?
Yeah. So it would be my house, not my house in the bank, but my house.
Well, there's some merit to that.
And that was the question. Was are you better off paying yourself, paying the loan company, or paying the IRS?
Let's back up a little bit. You say you're a troop and you're getting out, right?
Well, yeah, I got out this past May.
Where are you going to live?
Ohio.
You sure of that?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I just got a job offer there, and the movers came today.
Well, the point is, though, is it a solid offer?
Yeah, it's a solid offer.
Have you lived in Ohio before?
Yeah, I spent 2 assignments there.
All right. The fact that what I'm trying to get to is you know the area.
Right.
That you know it's something that you might want to stay in for a while.
Right.
You think you're going to be in this place for a decent length of time?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I'm looking, I want to buy one house and be done with it for,
Well, how old are you?
40.
Don't take that attitude. You may be in 2 or 3 homes before you run your course. But the point is, one at a time. What price range would you be looking at?
Probably 100, 150K range.
Where'd you get that kind of dough?
After 20 years of scrimping and saving.
I'm just curious, that's all.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. Here's the thing. If you feel that you could earn more money with your money in investments after taking taxes in both directions into account, if you think interest rates are going to rise considerably, precipitously, then you'd be better off to take a mortgage. On the other hand, if you feel that you're not able to take any kind of risk, so you'd have to pay more for the money than it will earn, again, taxes coming into play here, then you'd be better off to pay cash.
Okay.
I think at 40, my inclination would be to take some kind of a middle route. Put a decent amount down, but I'd also get a mortgage.
Okay.
If you were considerably older, less adventuresome, or had even... how much money do you have altogether in cash? And, when I say cash, stocks, bonds, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, probably about 3.
Well, the commitment, there's merit to not having to pay a mortgage. But you realize there is a certain tax advantage if it's used appropriately when you have a mortgage. And again, the linchpin of this is, what's that $300,000 doing as we speak? Very quickly.
Savings, CDs, treasury bonds.
Well, if that's where it is, pay cash. Because none of those things are paying as much as you're going to pay to borrow the money, or put another way, to rent the money. So if you're as conservative as that, if that's where the money's going to hide out, then by all means, write a big check and shock them all. Been good talking to you, champ. I'm Bruce Williams. Thanks for the hour, kids. This is Talknet.
It's larger as you do more business, up to 50% margin, 55% margin after a certain amount of money.
You see, it's just so foreign to me to have to pay somebody to sell their stuff. I can see where you pay for a franchise, but then they train you and you're using their name and all this kind of good stuff.
Well, they argue that they are providing some of those kind of services, including leads and marketing materials. I mean, they're selling it like a quasi-franchise type approach.
Listen, here's the big thing. If people are willing to pay for it, God bless them. That's what it comes down to. You got to figure, can you sell enough of their stuff to make it worth your while?
Yeah.
That's the long and the short of it, isn't it?
Yeah. My instinct is that I can, but on the other hand, you're not the first person who's told me it doesn't make sense to pay somebody for the right to be able to sell something for them.
Well, it doesn't seem so to me, but again, if they have something that is so exclusive that you can't buy it elsewhere, and they're customarily in our business, this goes from the biggest networks to the smallest, you barter for programming. But there's one program out there you got to pay them. And they're successful enough as we speak to get paid over and above the barter. Like everything else, when somebody wants something bad enough, you stick it to them. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I sure appreciate your time, Bruce.
I wish you well, guy.
Thanks a lot.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We hope it's the very best of conversation radio. We call it Talknet. I'd like to thank all those guys and gals who joined us for our taping session last night. You were very generous. We are going to do it this Monday evening, and you make it happen. I really appreciate it. Jacksonville, hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I took your good advice, and I think I've destroyed my life, and I still think it was good advice, but I'm in a mess.
Holy smokes. I'm sitting down. I got my Diet Coke here. I'll go for it.
Okay, now I'm going to sit down, put my head on your shoulder, and we're going to have a good hard cry.
All right, sweetheart.
I started out trying to get an umbrella policy. You advocate them, and I believe in them, and I thought this will work. I had to wait because of weird circumstances until I retired from daycare, because nobody in this world is going to issue an umbrella policy with a home daycare. So in January, I retired from that because of a lot of things having to do with an inheritance. I didn't have to stay in daycare, and the inheritance also gave me a house at the beach, which gets complicated.
My goodness.
Okay, I found out by calling around in January and February that you have to pretty much have your principal residence and your automobile with one company to get the umbrella.
Well, it is not required, but it certainly makes things a good deal easier to facilitate.
Well, I could find a company that would consider it. I'm playing Yellow Pages tag at the time, and...
Well, hold on. Let's start with, you have your house insured.
Oh, I've had everything insured.
Well, take a deep breath.
Okay, I had the house...
Why didn't you go back to start out with a company that insured your home?
I'll tell you. Because they wouldn't take the beach house. And they didn't. It gets complicated. The house in town was built in 1905, and it's 6 blocks from the river. The house at the beach is 2 short blocks from the ocean and was built before that. A lot of companies can't take anything what in Jacksonville Beach is east of 3rd Street.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay. If you're near because of the hurricane.
Andrew and other things.
Yes.
And I wanted, since I had the house with one major carrier, the beach house with another, the flood insurance on the house with one, the car insurance with another agent of that same third company, it was just insane. And I wanted an agent. And I wanted all of my policies, hopefully, with that agent, so every spring I could either send them an envelope of small checks or a large one and have the two houses, the car, the flood, the windstorm, and the whole shebang insured, and an umbrella.
The unfortunate thing is that you're in an area where nobody wants to write insurance.
Okay. Now,
on homes.
That's really not my problem. That's crazy, but it's not my problem.
Well, what's the problem?
Okay.
I'm talking about
my problem is trying to get some money back from somebody that's had it since March and won't give it back. I talked to an agent of a large national company that I won't name, and the first thing out of my mouth with her, because I had called other people who had declined to even consider the coverage, was, do you have a problem with the age or the location of either of these houses? And she said no. I said, okay, they both come due in April. Before these other policies need renewal, I need you to write the house in town. We discussed the coverage, the feet from the fire plug, and the whole thing, and the house at the beach. When I get both policies in hand, the car insurance is due in May. We'll add that to it and write the umbrella. And then when the flood insurance on the house in town comes due in September, I'll rotate that over to you so that a year from now you should be carrying all of my insurance. She agreed. We're talking $2,500, $3,000 worth of premium. She was eager for it. And she insisted she had no problem with the age and conditions of these houses, and I told her the truth about them. That the house in town has a turn shingle roof, and it's original roof, and it's 90 years old. Now, I realize that might be ludicrous, but it's the truth of the matter, and the company I had it with had no problem with that. I inherited the beach house when Daddy died. Daddy was a sweet, goofy old man who was an attorney by profession, but he put the roof on himself. And he didn't even leave me the sales slip for the shingles. So I have no way in this world to document that roof except his IRS depreciation page for
why do you have to why does it have to be documented?
Well, that's what it gets down to. A week after my homeowners lapsed, and 2 business days before the beach house policy that I had was going to lapse, I get a call from this woman that took my application and my money, which was $854. And she said, I have to have proof of the age of the roof of the beach house, proof that it's been rewired, and proof of the upgrades on the heating system. I said, okay, heating system's no problem. That's top of the line, central heat and air, less than 2 years old. I can call them and have them do it. Then I started calling electricians to find out who rewired it for Daddy, because it was built without any wiring. I mean, it's been upgraded multiple times since and has 200-amp circuitry, and it's in good shape. But I had to prove it. And then she wanted proof of the age of the roof. The electrician wanted $55 an hour to check out and see if it was up to code, because he'd thrown away his records of over 5 years ago. He remembered the house, remembered doing it. But then the roofer wanted $100 to go up with a ladder and look at the shingles and say, yeah, they look like they're less than 20 years old. And I was willing to do all of this until the next day when I get a letter in the mail saying, because of the age of the roof of the house in town, we decline your coverage. Well, now I've got houses and rental property at the beach with no insurance and tenants in this house at the beach, and then I'm into what, thank goodness, turned out to be a grace period on the house in town. Well, I played hustle, and I got the original agents on the phone and found out that I had grace on the house in town and only needed to send them the money, which was $31 a year less than these other people had already collected, and they'd would carry it. Then I called the people who had the house at the beach, and they said as soon as they received the check, they'd reinstate it, but it was in lapse, which left me over the weekend with no coverage.
Very quickly. So where are we going with all this?
Then this has taken me 4 months to get there. Then I called the agent back and said, forget it, it's not worth it. I'll just stay with the companies I've got. They're willing to continue coverage. Send me my money back. That was the 15th of April. Every time I call her, she either doesn't take my call or she bites my head off and said, we're doing the best we can. And then I started with the 3rd of June dealing with the state insurance commissioner, and I've gone through 2 people there and several long-distance 3-way conversations with the national office of this insurance company in New York, and I still haven't gotten the money back. Last Thursday, she told me she would send me $262 of the $330 that they owe me. I said, fine, do that. And then cut me another check for the difference. And she said they couldn't do that. Well, on the 6th of June, they sent me $10 back on the house at the beach where they collected $293, and 2 separate checks for $493 and $15 for the house in town. Well, they owe me $336.60. They have never for 1 minute covered either of these properties. They've driven me completely over the brink, and they won't give the money back. Help!
Well, first of all, as a practical matter, I don't know that this is the kind of thing it may take a little more time to resolve. I don't know why you're getting so hyper.
Well, in the meantime, in order to reinstate the old policies, I had to use cash advances on a MasterCard to get them done immediately because I didn't have double money at the time to do it with.
You're that close on money?
Well, we're talking close to $1,000 I didn't have in my checking account, and I had to drive the checks to the post office that night so that they would receive them as soon as possible.
I think you're
then pay myself back.
Yes, dear, I understand. Take a deep breath. I understand all that. But I think you're going to find that you'll get your money back. I can't defend the bureaucracy that you're dealing with, but I don't think you have any problem in terms of you'll get your money back.
Well, the State Insurance Commissioner's office wrote me a letter and them a letter on the 10th of June that, requested the refund be expedited. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting here on the 20th of July, and I still don't have the money.
Well, I understand that, but I think it may take 2 or 3 or 4 months to straighten out. But that's not worth getting an ulcer over.
Well, what bothers me is that through a circuitous turn of events, including an agent that's down there next to where your house is in Florida, my cousin has retired from this company after 40 years as one of their agents, and he said that gal should never have taken the application.
I don't disagree.
The year the houses were built.
Say that again?
The agent should never have taken the application when I told her the ages of the houses, the years they were built.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that.
Well, it's just an absolute wonder the old companies were willing to take them back.
Well,
if they hadn't been able to, I really would have been hysterical.
Yes, well, the hysterics wouldn't hurt you wouldn't help you very much.
Well, I haven't found anything that does help me very much. I have hung up completely on the idea of getting an umbrella policy or anything else with these people. And what I plan to do is, now that I've got things calmed back down with my regular companies, the original policies, is move the car insurance over to the company that has the home.
All right, I can't
and
deal.
go from there.
That's hopefully going to work for you. But what I'm trying to get to is, I understand your frustration. Let's begin with that. But you're getting yourself all unnerved and making all these phone calls and whatever, and I think you're kind of spinning your wheels. There's no question. The insurance company is not going to steal your money, but they're also the alacrity that you would like to see is just not going to be there. Now, given that, you wrote the letters. You can follow up from time to time, and I think you'll find you get your money. But in the meantime, you're working yourself up into a state.
Well, I haven't written any letters to the State Insurance Commissioner's office in Jacksonville.
No, but you made 3-way conversations, and you told me all this stuff, and the tone in your voice sounds like you're ready to have some kind of a cardiac arrest.
Well, I'm trying very hard not to.
Over $1,000? Is it worth it?
Well, partly I could use the money, and mostly it's the principle of the thing that they took the money in March for heaven's sake.
I understand all that.
And
no, hold it. Let's assume and let's grant that you are completely correct. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
Well,
it may take a year to straighten out.
Well, there's a further complication.
Well, what do you got? 10 seconds left.
Okay. When the commissioner's office made this 3-way call, I didn't, she did, this woman just insisted that she wasn't going to give all the money back. And
why?
That's what I wanted to know.
And did you ask?
Yeah.
And what did she say?
And she says, well, for the time that we had coverage on your property.
Well, you see, that's going to be
you never had.
Well, I don't know that. And perhaps you don't know that.
Well, I have the letters.
All right. If there may have been, I don't know that to be the case. If there was coverage in place, they may have a case for that. I don't know. But what I'm trying to explain to you is, I think you'll find this is going to resolve itself. But you sound like you've worked yourself up into a state where this could be a hell of a lot more serious with your health than a few bucks involved. Good luck, honey. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Hello there, Grand Rapids. Welcome to my world.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for taking my call. You are an absolute godsend.
Well, thank you.
You know that? Hey, I got a question for you. I have a land contract on some vacant property just north of town, and the local utility wants to come through and put in electric for a neighbor.
Now, what you say, you have a land contract. That means you are purchasing this under contract?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, now, my contract states that no trees will be taken out 50 foot from the road until the contract is paid. Mm-hmm. Now, the local utility wants to come through and take out approximately 18 foot of trees to allow for the wires.
Well, there's not much you can do about that with your contract notwithstanding.
There's nothing.
No,
I have gotten... I've been talking to the people from the utility, and they supposedly have talked to my contract holder, and I have gotten a letter I have been faxed a letter from my contract holder that grants permission.
Well, they can grant it or they'll get it through eminent domain. Doesn't matter. What I'm trying to get to is utility companies have the right to do these things.
They do.
Now, you can otherwise, how would you ever have any utilities any place? You get one stunking away and say, I'm not letting you go through here.
So legally, I have no problem with them doing this. I just want to make sure that there's no problem with the contract holder. Now, do I have to have anything legally written up?
I don't think you have anything to say about it.
Oh, okay.
You have certain rights as you are the purchaser, is that correct?
Yeah.
And the property's not in your name.
True.
The property is in whoever's name it was in when this deal was entered into.
But the utilities have contacted me first. I don't understand why.
Probably because the utility service is in your name and they figure you're the owner.
Okay. So I don't have to have anything legally written up or anything.
I don't think you get into the act at all here. No.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. But see, the problem is that people get exercised about, they're going to put a pole, and most times utility companies will they'll go out of their way to be accommodating when they can.
Certainly.
But there are times when they just got to go. I don't like the way, as very candidly, they butcher the trees in front of my house. But on the other hand, I like having the air conditioning.
Sure.
And the trees are so big they have to have a tunnel through them for the utility lines.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, one more quick question. Okay, this is undeveloped at this point, the property that I'm purchasing. Okay, and again, I have no problem with this, but I don't want to go against my contract.
Well, I don't see where you're involved.
Oh, well, okay. See that?
I see. You're saying that you have a right in the contract and you don't want to see it given up.
Well, I just want to make sure that there is no conflict, and that's what I'm, that's why I want to make sure.
I'm sure your contract someplace in there has some kind of a public policy disclaimer and that sort of thing. And even if you did have suppose you had a contract that said no utility lines coming through here, do you think that's going to stop anybody?
Well, that's what I'm calling you for.
No, or suppose you had one that said under no circumstances is any of this property to be used as a public right-of-way.
Right.
And the city comes in and says, guess what? We're running a 6-lane highway through here.
Yeah, sooner or later they're going to get their way.
Not sooner or later. They get it sooner.
Okay, well, one question here. Now, like I say, this is undeveloped. Let's say, hypothetically, I want power back onto my property. Is there any way to work out a deal not?
You might be able to.
I mean, is it worth a...
Well, from what you said to me, the line is coming through your property.
Well, it's coming across the front. It's on the street side, on the face side of it.
What does that mean?
Meaning, okay, the road runs east and west, and the front of my property is there.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're going to cut 12 foot in all the way across my property.
Well, the point being that there's power there. Then, if you wanted to become a utility customer, the ability to deliver is already there when they put this line in.
Okay, well, I guess I was just wondering if maybe we could work out a deal to go back where I wanted it.
Well, that you mean as far as you mean to run it back further for you?
Right.
You can ask.
Yeah.
You can ask.
Okay.
Good luck, guy.
Hey, thanks, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Bozeman, Montana. Hello there.
Yes, hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I have a question that involves some family relations and kind of, the kind of problems that sometimes come up and you don't quite know what to do about them. My dad sent us $20,000 several years ago. It was just before he went in to have a heart bypass operation.
Us meaning you and your wife or something?
Yes, my wife and I.
All right.
At the time, we had also borrowed some money from my dad because we were buying some property and building a house. The money that he sent was, totally unsolicited. Another little complication is that I was working in Seattle at the time, and my wife was home, and when the check arrived, and my dad went in for this surgery very almost like unexpectedly. One day he was in the doctor's office, and the next day he had to go to the hospital. A little shortly after that, my wife asked my dad if we could spend that money on putting our well in and some things, and he said yes. About several months after that, I went to visit my dad for the first time since the operation, and in the course of conversation, I find out that this wasn't a gift. Apparently he wants the money back, and there's no way in the world that we can pay that kind of money back. We just don't have the income.
Well, why did he send it?
I don't know.
How old is your dad? How old is your father?
He's about 77, 78 years old now.
How old? This is what I'm trying to get to is, was your dad in complete command of his faculties?
Yes, I believe he is, and I believe that the reason kind of was something to do with keeping it away from the government and all. I feel, my problem is that I feel really bad about this because we made our plans, we spent the money.
All right, hold on, just can I interject?
Mm-hmm.
Did you call your father after you got the check?
I didn't know, but my wife did.
What, you mean you didn't call to thank him even?
I didn't know about it for quite a while.
Well, how long? Wait. Hold on. Maybe I'm missing something. Your wife didn't tell you? Holy smokes, I got a check for $20,000. You got to be kidding me.
No, she told us at the time, told me at the time,
yeah.
But this was with the operation and my dad being in the hospital.
Wait a minute. Hold it.
Okay.
Come on now. These are starting to stretch. Let's take it day by day. Your wife opens the mail, and there's a check for $20,000.
Right.
We'll say it's on a Monday. I would assume that she called you instantly.
No.
Why?
Well,
don't tell me it's a long-distance call. I'm going to throw up. Why?
Well, I can't exactly say why, and that's part of the...
Well, how long did she? She got it on Monday. When did she tell you?
It seems like it was at least a week or two afterward.
Is your wife strange?
Yes, it is. And
is your wife strange, I say?
It's strange in that when I try and ask my wife more about exactly what transpired at the time, she... she kind of almost gets mad at me a little bit, and it's that she did just what, she thought my dad, wanted.
Well, wait a minute. That's, if you were to tell this in front of a judge, the judge would look like, I'll put you in jail for perjury. You're telling me that your wife got an unsolicited check for $20,000 and didn't bother telling you for a week?
Right. Yes.
She didn't call your father at that point?
I think she did call him.
You think? What do you mean
yes,
you think?
I don't know.
What does she say she did?
It's hard.
Is your wife alive?
Yes, she is.
Well, did you ask her?
Yes, I did.
What did she say?
She thought that at the time, she said at the time that she did call my dad, and she talked to him later because...
Well, hold on. Never mind later. Wait a minute. I'm trying to pin... Is your wife there?
I think she's just driving up from coming home from work.
I'd be glad to talk to her. This is strange.
It is very strange.
Well, wait a minute. She thinks she talked to your father.
Well, I know she talked to my father a little bit later, and I can't.
No, never mind later. I want to know about at the time.
Well, when she did talk to him, it was about using the money for, I think at the time it was helping to pay for the well, and he said, yes, go ahead and spend that money. And
now, wait a minute. Did you call your father to thank him ever?
Yes.
What did he say then?
not much.
Now, he must have said something. There wasn't just blank. You're not saying much. I mean, there must have been something said. Did he acknowledge the fact that you called? Anything?
That's why this is such a hard family problem.
Boy.
The way it is with my dad, you can't talk to him like you would, when I listen to your program and, you talk in a business-like way, we can't seem to talk. We paid him all the money back that we had borrowed from him. And then at that time, I said, Dad, there's no way we can pay this other money back. Can we just keep using it? The only way we would be able to pay it back would be to sell the property, which is not something we'd want to do.
I understand all that, but here's I want you to think about this. Danny, do we have one or two breaks coming now? All right, we got time then. Hey, what I'm trying to get to is, it boggles the mind that you would get a $20,000 check and not instantly call and say, wow, thank you very much, wow. Now, did you say your wife didn't do that, and then you didn't do it? I'm asking you in days. After the check got there on the 1st of the month, for the sake of discussion, how long was it before you called your father to acknowledge it?
Okay, hang on. How long was it before you called Dad when we got that check for $20,000? Did you call him immediately when that check...
Put your wife on.
Who is this, please?
This is Bruce Williams, and you're talking on the radio to several million people. Your husband called me about your problem, and my mind is a little bit stretched here. He tells me you got a check for $20,000 from your father-in-law.
Right.
Did you instantly call him and thank him? Instantly, that day, that minute?
I'm sure I did, because
you
would have to confirm that check arrived.
Well, then did you call your husband and tell him about it? He says you didn't tell him for a week.
No. I'm sorry, I don't remember the sequence of time.
Well, just think about this logically. You get a check unsolicited for $20,000. Wouldn't you call your husband and tell him about it?
Very much so.
Well, he says you didn't call him for a week.
He was aware that this money was coming.
Well, how was he aware of that?
Through my contacting him.
You knew in advance that it was coming?
Yes, I did.
How'd you know that?
My father-in-law indicated that he was going to send this money.
And why did he say he was sending the money?
In order to help us with the beginning of starting our home. He wanted it for our use for the digging of the well and the foundation work that we would need done.
Did he say it was a gift? He was giving this to you?
That was my understanding.
Did he use those words?
I can't be sure.
Okay. All righty. Let me talk to Papa Bear. Thank
you. Okay.
Well, as a practical matter, if he sent the money unsolicited, you can say it's a gift. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You can say it's a gift.
This is what I feel, but I feel like if I had the money, I would pay it back, but we don't. And the thing is, my dad's mad at us. He hasn't called for weeks and weeks.
Have you called him?
Yes.
And?
The thing is I went to New Zealand for 3.5 months, and he doesn't bother to ask where that money came from or anything, which happened to be a savings account in New Zealand.
Why did you go to New Zealand?
To fish and to visit old friends.
For 3.5 months?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 52.
Well, you just took 3.5 months off from work?
Well, I work as a locum tenens. What I do is I screen pap smears. I'm a cytotechnologist. And I work on a contract basis.
But if you couldn't afford to pay your father off, and I can understand that, you could afford to take 3.5 months. I've had 3.5 months vacation in total in 25, 30 years.
Yes, I know. I listen to your program, and I wonder about, the type of, person or work ethic. I feel that there's a lot more important things in life. We have chosen a lifestyle. We don't have children. The money was saved in New Zealand from our last trip 9 years ago. I couldn't very well bring it back here because it was denominated in New Zealand dollars.
Why not?
And
you can change New Zealand dollars into American dollars.
Yes, but I spent 3.5 months in New Zealand for $5,000. Now, I just heard you say to the one person on the radio, that Eskimo village was just too rough for you. Well, I sleep in a tent or I sleep in the car. And we had some friends in New Zealand that were dying of cancer. We hadn't seen them in 9 years, and it was a good time to go. And so I decided to go because there isn't the work out there right now.
Did your wife go with you?
No, she stayed here. But she's gone on the other trips.
Well, what I'm trying to get to, and I must let you go, but I'm just, if you're in a situation where you say, boy, I really like to pay my father back, but I just don't have it, and then you turn around and say, I spent $5,000 on a vacation, this whole thing is, you say that you have a kind of strange environment. I guess you do. But as a practical matter, if your father sent the stuff unsolicited, I think it could be considered a gift. But the whole relationship here, I think you'd agree, is a little bit strange. I do wish you well, my friend. I truly do. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Deltona, Florida. Hello there.
I was calling in regards to the lady that called you a little while ago about her and her husband. They were going to Alaska in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Of course, I don't know how many millions of dollars some of these people have to go on these vacations.
You don't have to have millions of dollars.
Well, I lived up there for 9 years in Anchorage itself, and I worked up in Prudhoe Bay.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things just heading south of Anchorage.
Yeah, I told you, but there's about 60 miles down along that body of water, whatever it is there.
Well, if they go down into Seward, they can get a rental on a boat right out of Seward, which will take them out to all the cliffs where the walruses and all the different bird life all hang out on the cliffs. And they've got Portage Glacier just south of Anchorage.
Yeah, that's about 60 miles south, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember when I was there last time, for whatever reason, got real lucky. The Doll sheep actually came down to the road.
Right.
They said that's very unusual.
And then outside of Indio, which is just before you get to Portage, is a log cabin. And I don't know if
you're talking about that little place that it's a bar. It's a bar where they sell. It's
called the Birdhouse.
Yeah, unborn chicken or something they sell there.
Yeah, it's the Birdhouse.
Yeah, it's just sunk into the ground.
Right.
And all the business cards are on the roof.
That's it.
Yeah, I've been there.
That was the only thing, the only structure that was left in the '64 earthquake. And you can go in there and have a drink, and your drink will actually slide to the other end of the bar if you don't hang on to it.
And the bartender is walking uphill. And and hard-boiled eggs are the big thing at the bar.
And then the other one is Crow Creek Mine is right down that same area too.
Right.
Which
I think there's still, but in my opinion, and I certainly have had some very pleasant experiences in and around Anchorage, but I think Fairbanks has a whole bunch more to see.
Oh yeah, Santa Claus Village is right outside there.
Yeah, that belongs to a state senator, as a matter of fact. That's the North. You're talking about North Pole, Alaska.
Right.
I was up there last summer. And they had the fellow who owns it was very big in helping settle that area, and now his son is a state senator, and his name escapes me. That's terrible.
And then one other thing up in the Fairbanks area also is Alaska Land.
Yep.
Where the Harding Railroad car is still up there, and
yep, they have the big boat up there they restored that.
Right.
And the
big paddle wheel.
Yeah, but what's the name of that little place? They have a fish. They have a salmon fry every night, or baked salmon. This is during the tourist season.
Right.
And they had the show there that they had the same guys own the Malamute Saloon.
Right.
And they had the show there, and they've been very gracious to me too. And absolutely, Alaska Land is certainly worth their attention.
Because I know that, like I said, I lived up there. As a matter of fact, I've got a bunch of pictures of the dredge that you were talking about.
Yeah, the gold dredge.
Yeah, I thought it was very strange to pull around the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden this big dredge sitting out in the middle of the water.
Isn't that something else? That is not. And there's 8 of them or 7 of them still remain. None of them operating, but the one that has been restored is gold dredge number 8. And I wish we had more time to explain to people what that's all about, because I had never heard of such a thing in the middle of an Arctic desert is what it comes down to. Are you glad to be gone, or you wish you were there again?
I wish I was up there for the summer.
Yeah,
I like the 23 hours of daylight.
Yeah, the winters I could do without as well, but I've certainly enjoyed the summers. Hey, thanks for calling, and thanks for reminiscing with me. I remember sitting there watching kids water ski at 1 o'clock in the morning. You have a short summer, you got to make the most of it. Thank you for the hour. It was too short. I'm Bruce. This is Talknet. Annapolis, Maryland. Do I have to whistle Anchors Away when I talk to you?
Well, that's not a bad idea.
What's on your mind?
Well, I've got, I guess, a less of a major dilemma than the last caller. My wife and I have each in our frequent flyer account 33,000 miles.
All right, yeah, you got to do what airline?
U.S. Air.
And you got to do something between now and Friday.
Exactly.
Or actually by Sunday if it's by mail, or Friday if it's by telephone.
Right, and but that's for domestic only. They're raising the requirements for a domestic round trip from 20 to 25,000 miles.
That's correct.
And the question, the dilemma is, we're planning on going to Florida sometime, and also we're not this 33,000 miles apiece. This is hard fought, tooth and nail. This is the credit cards. This is this is 3 years worth of mileage.
Holy smokes!
This is not, we are not.
Well, you got 66,000 miles, and you can't combine your two accounts. I don't believe.
Exactly.
So you got what you got is one ticket apiece and 33,000 or 13,000 you'll be stuck with.
Right. Well, here's the thing is, we're thinking about going to Florida over this winter.
All right.
And we're definitely going to Bermuda in May.
All right.
Bermuda, however, it qualifies as an international flight.
Yeah.
And that is uses 30,000 miles.
Yeah, but Bermuda, all right, go ahead.
So but they're not raising the requirements for international until sometime next year.
Okay. So what is your question?
So the question is, since Bermuda is so short of an international flight, do we use all 30,000 miles?
Look. All you can do, first of all, you're only going to be using. You're going to have 13,000 miles on the books, which is going to be diluted in value by a factor of 4.
Right.
Is that not true? I sat down in my office. The reason I'm a little knowledgeable about this is I sat with Beth in my office today. Because I had over 1 million miles to get rid of. And I figured we're going to start cashing some of this stuff in because I get it on my credit card, which is smoking, because of all the travel I do.
Right.
Not to mention the flying, not to mention it's been building up all this time. I haven't taken any mileage to speak of. So with, just with my one credit card, there's 173,000 miles sitting there. And I'm going to use them this week. I'm going to do just what you're doing. But
I'll tell you what, I try. Good luck getting into the frequent flyer.
We've been having that problem. And, all right, what I'm going to do now, let's talk about that. If I don't get in by Thursday,
you're going to mail it.
Oh no, I'm not. With a Federal Express, thank you very much. Where I have a receipt. I wouldn't trust the U.S. mail for something like this. They do a great job and all that stuff. Yeah, hello.
Right.
But there's no way I would mail it. I am going to Federal Express it, or you can use UPS, or I don't want to give a plug for FedEx.
Right.
But I'm going to use an overnight service. How's that? So it's delivered on Friday to not only to U.S. Air, but to Continental, to American, and a couple of others.
Right.
I want to be certain that I can prove that I did what I did. Now, having said all that, it doesn't look like to me like a hard equation to solve. Listen to me. You sit down and you make a couple phone calls. What's it cost to go from Annapolis, and that would probably be from Baltimore, or conceivably from Newark.
Well, BWI is a hub for U.S. Air, so
you take a deep breath. Come on now, get smart. I don't give a damn if it's a hub for U.S. Air. Let's assume, for the sake of discussion, you have a car.
Right.
It may be cheaper to drive up to Newark and grab a flight over to Bermuda, and use your tickets from Baltimore International to Florida. Not with U.S. Air. In other words, if you're going to check both the possibilities, right? Then you're going to check the other airlines for the other route, the opposite route.
Right.
For the sake of discussion, you want to go to Bermuda with U.S. Air. Are you only going to check U.S. Air from Baltimore to Florida? No, you're going to find out what, Continental, TW, the rest of them, right? Alternatively, if you're going to you want to check so you have an accurate thing one to compare to the other two, you're going to go the other route. You're going to check the Florida routes, and then check the cheapest way to get to Bermuda, which is probably going to be out of Newark, by the way.
Bermuda.
For you. To Bermuda, that's right. And it's only a hop, skip, and a jump up the turnpike from where you are.
Yeah, 4 hours.
Well, a little less. But it's a lot less, matter of fact. talking to a guy who used to make that. I used to be stationed in Washington. I used to go up 301 when they didn't have all those roads. I used to make it less than 4 hours.
Well, I tell you what, it's not to argue with you, but it's bumper to bumper.
Yeah, well, if you travel at night.
Right. But anyway,
Anyway, I got to ask you to hold on because I'm getting behind here, but I don't want to shortchange you. Can you hang on a minute?
Sure.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. When we're going through that under that tunnel at the harbor, we'll argue. This is Talknet. I am chatting with a gentleman who's trying to play the frequent flyer game. I guess we're all doing that if we're smart at the end of the year because they're changing their rules. But there's so many variables in this. Are you really interested in getting real cheapo prices? Is that correct?
I'm interested. I'm one of these guys that if I'm flying from here to California or Florida or wherever, I do nonstops.
Well, if you can, not always possible.
Well,
believe me when I tell you, it ain't possible.
Well, I believe it, but
try and get to Las Vegas nonstop today. Just about impossible.
You think?
I'll have to think. You tell me the airlines that go from the East Coast to Las Vegas nonstop. You may find one occasional flight here and there.
I'd be surprised if U.S. Air didn't because BWI is such a big hub for them.
Let me tell you something. It ain't as big a hub for U.S. Air as Newark is for Continental.
Right.
It's not as big a hub as Dallas is.
They don't do it.
Most of them, you have to go to another hub. You got to go to Chicago. You got to go to Denver. I'm not telling you it can't be done.
Right.
When I used to go to Las Vegas regularly years ago, out of the New York area, you could get any number of flights directly to Las Vegas. But Las Vegas is not a hub.
Right.
Therefore, you go from, and I'm not going to, you may have to go to L.A. and double back.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to go to Denver and shoot down. You have to go to Chicago.
Right.
You don't much know the airlines I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I do.
If you were going to go Northwest, I got a feeling you have to go to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Exactly.
So maybe not.
Yeah. Well, all the traveling we've done, we've been lucky enough we've gone to California, to L.A. nonstop.
L.A. is a cinch nonstop.
Right.
L.A. San Francisco is a cinch nonstop from the East Coast.
Right. Boston.
Chicago is a cinch. Boston is a cinch.
Right.
Detroit is a cinch. Minneapolis, St. Paul. Florida is not so easy.
Florida, well, Fort Myers and
depending on where you want to go.
Yeah.
Try to go to Tampa from where you are. Nonstop. Chances are you won't be able to do that. Maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know
anyway,
there's only two airlines that go out of Tampa to the New York area nonstop.
Well, let's put it this way: we're not interested in going 6 hours out of our way to save $100.
Okay, I can deal with that
because time is money, and we're fairly busy.
Okay.
So we don't need. We're not that interested in the last nickel. What we want is to be able to get there and get back hassle free.
With frequent flyer coupons, that's not always easy either.
Well, we've never cashed these things in either.
Well, that's part. You see, some of the things you will get used to some interesting things. They may get you where you want to go, but they may route you a way you don't want to go. With U.S. Air, good airline, don't misunderstand me, but they may route you through Charleston. They may say that's the only seats we have available to get you where you want to go. There may be a plane going there,
right?
But there's only so many seats available for frequent flyer,
right?
And the way you make that happen is to go, in this case, maybe from Baltimore to Charleston to where you want to go to Fort Myers, I think it was.
Right.
The fact that there's a plane with seats on it doesn't mean a thing.
Right. Okay.
They only allocate so many tickets. And the same thing is true overseas, even more so overseas.
Right. So the bottom line, your basic hunch is that you think that we can get to Bermuda cheap enough where it wouldn't make sense to spend the 30,000 miles, frequent flyer miles, as opposed to...
Wait a minute. You got to pick up the telephone. Bermuda's only 777 miles from New York or from, interestingly, the same number of miles from Boston.
It's less than it is to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Florida, from Newark to New York area, is 999 miles to Tampa, where I make that route, twice a week. So I'm familiar with that one. But you don't always go in the straight line.
Right. Oh, I know.
Frequently, you got to go to Cleveland, double back. Or you wind up in Dulles, and you got to hop over from Dulles to where you are. The idea of direct flights today is very difficult to accomplish. And when you're doing it with frequent flyer miles,
that's even
more. Sure, if you want to go to Tokyo, there are non-stops out of the New York metropolitan area.
Right.
Non-stop at Tokyo. Well, good luck trying to do that with frequent flyer miles.
Right.
They may route you to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles to Hawaii, and Hawaii on. Or to San Francisco.
Right.
Or half a dozen other ways. And you take what you can get is what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. So how do you evaluate all this? I mean,
all you can do is do what I described. Take the one way, then compare it to the other alternative you have. And again, you say you're not going to worry about squeezing the last nickel out of it. Well, you're not going to do that.
Uh-huh.
That's just what it comes down to. As I said, I'm going to wind up with like 30 or 40 tickets before the week is out, or coupons. And I know doggone well I'm going to be unhappy with some and happier with others. Keep your wheels up, guy, and have a good trip. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Wichita, Kansas, welcome to my world.
Hello.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
Okay, guy, what's up?
All right. I got a big problem. I'm really a short-time listener to you, so I'm fairly new to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Back in '89, I was in the military, and I bought a '86 MR2 from a local car dealer here.
What's an MR2?
It's a sports car, two-door sports car.
Made by who?
Toyota.
Okay.
And it was, like I said, I was 18 when I bought the car, and I was in the military, stationed at Fort Riley, but I came down here to buy the car. So I bought the car from a local dealer down here.
Mm-hmm.
And
brand new?
No, it was used. It was an '86, and this was '89. So
okay.
3 or 4 years old. So after that, after I bought the car and everything, I put $3,000 down to buy the car in the first place, right? No cosigner, nothing like that. I put $200 to save that car, to say, hey, that car right there, I want it. So
$200 to what?
To save it, so they wouldn't sell it to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave him $200, and the next week, the following week when I came down, I brought my $3,000 with me, and I bought the car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not bought it straight out, but
I understand.
Okay, so I had the car for like 10 months, and I wound up having to go to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And the Army said, well, take these papers down there to the bank, your loan officer, and let him sign the paper so we can ship your car to Germany for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I go to the bank to do this, and he says, oh, there's no way we can let
We're not letting our collateral go to Germany.
Right. So I said, well, what can I do to keep the car? I told him I would let them. They could take the money out of my paycheck. If you in the Army, they can make direct deposit payments.
Yeah, you're talking about an allotment type.
Right. I told him I would do that for him. He said, no. So I said, what should I do then? He said, well, I tell you what, this is a kind of a special circumstance. Give me the car, and everything will be okay. Don't worry about it. So that's what I had done. I returned the car to him. I went to Germany, and remind you, I was up in my payments. I had made all my payments and everything like that. And so I left to Germany, was in Saudi Arabia, received a letter from the guy saying, everything was okay, that the loan and stuff, was all taken care of, or whatever the case may have been. So I'm thinking everything is okay. But I came back from Saudi Arabia, and I had a whole lot of money because I was single back then, and they never took out any taxes or anything like that, combat pay, and we got paid a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I kept spending cash, and I never realized, anything else. So I came back to Wichita to live. I'm originally from California, but I figured I'd go back to Wichita to live. So I came back here to live, and last January, I went to try to buy a camcorder, 6 months, no financing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they denied me, and I was wondering, why did they deny me? And they told me that the bank said I owed them $6,000. That's impossible. So the following day, I called the bank and said, they say, that your credit report says here that I owe you $6,000. They said, oh, no, you don't owe us $6,000. They said, you only owe us $3,000. So I was like, no, there's a misunderstanding here. And she says, no, so, their lawyer's supposed to be getting in contact with me and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he really wasn't in contact with me all the time. I kept having to call them back. But at the time all this started back in January, it was only $900 was interest. But they've been still tacking on interest, even though I've been in contact with them for the last year. But now I'm getting ready to go to court here in January the 5th of this year, of 95, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm wondering is,
well, yeah, go ahead.
How much of a leg do I have to stand on? And
what do you told me a story, and I have no reason to disbelieve you.
Right.
What do you have to prove that?
The only thing I have to prove that it was one, they're not reporting it as a voluntary repo, but two, I think for my own behalf, I think it showed a lot of a will for a car to save up $3,000 for the car. You know, at the time.
But I don't disagree with all that, but that's not going to take you very far. I think the turning point of this whole thing is I see it from what you told me. Let's go back a little bit, shall we?
Okay.
You went down to the bank and you said, I want to take this car to Germany.
Right.
And they said, not by the hair of our chinny chin chin.
Right.
Then they went on to say, I think this is what you said to me.
Right.
That they said, well, this is a special circumstance.
That's what right.
And all you got to do is give us the keys to the car and the title, and we're even.
Right.
That's what you said.
Right.
Now, do you know who said that?
Yeah.
You got the guy's name and so forth?
Exactly, but he doesn't work there anymore.
Well, that doesn't matter. You still got that guy's name, right?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Do you know where he is, or have you made an effort to find out?
Yeah, but I tried to find out, and their human resources department told me that they can't give me that kind of information.
Well, they can if you subpoena it.
Yeah, and I am.
Well, what you do is you subpoena the person in human relations to appear on your side for you.
Okay, now if I find this guy or whatever, like I said, this is back in '89.
No, he may not remember. I don't know. You have nothing in writing. Is that correct?
Right. I have like I said, we were in Saudi Arabia when the letter came.
Well, without regard to that, at the time when the guy said not to worry.
Right.
You didn't get anything from him to sustain it. You didn't get anything from him at that time, is what I'm saying.
Zero, zilch, nada.
Okay. At 18, I'd have probably made the same mistake. Don't feel badly. But the fact is, now we gotta get somebody. Now, have you gone down to Base Legal?
No, sure have.
Why don't you talk to them? Because they may be able to rattle human resources cage to turn up this guy's numbers. Not that they're advantaged to do so, clearly.
Right.
But let's see if we could track him down, and that's what he said, and that would be, I think, finish the thing off for you.
Okay, now I got another question.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to count? Okay, if they try to sue me, am I able to countersue them for the down payment I put towards the car? Because after all the money I saved, Nick,
you can sue for. Hold it. You can sue for anything. Whether you would be successful is, I think, somewhat doubtful in this situation.
I wouldn't be. You don't think I would be successful in it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, man, I've been waiting so long to call you. I had a million questions, and now they're just all gone. And the
first thing I'd do is troop on down to legal and see if they can help you. The judge advocate's office, I think they call it. Talk to those guys, and you might tell them that we talked on the air. One time when I was put him back on again. Will you please, Danny? Are you still there, Si?
Even though I'm not in the military anymore.
Oh no, I thought you were still a troop.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm out. I've been out for 2 years now.
Well, then you got to go see your lawyer. You'll have to see a lawyer on your own. I thought you were still a troop. I'm sorry.
I'm out now.
Okay. When I was, how old are you now?
I'm 24. I'll be 25.
Oh, you're an old one. I was only 19. You see, at the time, and I bought a car in San Antonio. It was a 1939 Buick convertible, which I'd love to have today. Let me tell you.
Okay.
But in any case, it was just an old car then.
Okay.
12, 13-year-old car, whatever it was. And that thing was put together with baling wire and spit. Well, what did I know? I'm 19 years old. I grabbed every penny I got, and I get down and buy this car, fat, dumb, and stupid. I think it went 35 miles, and it blew up. That was the end of that car. So I went down, and I'm upset, And I called the guy, and the guy said, "Deal's a deal." That's the end of that,
Right.
So I'm in San Antonio, and I get on a bus to go back to the base.
Right.
And there's a guy sitting next to me, and he is the P word off. He is ticked. He's roaring mad, this guy. And I'm listening to him. I got out of the damned Air Force, I don't know how many years ago, and now the suckers just called me back up again, and I just got my business going. He's carried on. And he's a young guy, but old by the standard. He's probably your age, now, but he's old. Old by my standards at 19, right?
Okay.
He may be a little older than that. He's carrying on. I'm just listening to him and so forth. And what can I say? I got my own troubles. Go up to base, he gets off with his bag, and he's ticked off, right? The next day, I go up to the legal office, the base legal office, so I can get some help. Who's sitting there? But this guy, I forget what he was, captain, major, whatever. He's a lawyer.
Uh-huh.
Got called back in again. He's ready. He's still eating fire the next morning. He hasn't calmed down, see? And he was from San Antonio. I tell him my story. Oh, you're the kid on the bus. No, I'm the kid, see? You're the kid on the bus last night. Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. You know, oh, don't worry about that, sir, garbage. He said, tell me the story. I said, I'm going to fix that so-and-so. He said, I'm from this town. So he calls up the dealer who I bought this abortion from. And he says to me, something to the effect that, says to the guy, he said, look, I think you ought to give this kid, a deal is a deal. This kid, he's old enough to buy a car. He said, okay. He says, but starting this afternoon, I'm going to put that whole area off limits to all military personnel. He said, by tonight, everybody in the bar business and the car business is going to know who caused this to happen. With any kind of a break, by tomorrow morning, you're going to be floating in the San Antonio River. 5 minutes later, the guy calls back, tell him to bring the car back. I'll give him his money. Because that was not an unreal threat at the time, I got to tell you.
Well, I wish I could be that lucky. I really do.
Listen, I'd see an attorney and see if you can dig out and find who this person was.
Okay.
That supposedly took you off the hook. I do wish you well, guy. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. We go to Lutz, Florida. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Well, how long have you lived in Lutz?
Since June.
Oh, you're just a newcomer then.
Right. We're military. We just got transferred here.
The reason I asked, I wonder why they call it Lutz, not Lutz. L-U-T-Z, I think, should be Lutz, but I know I've driven through there, and they call it Lutz.
I know they do. I thought it was Lutz when we first moved here.
I'm glad somebody else made the same mistake. What's on your mind, dear?
Okay. I'm a 38-year-old military wife, and my kids are old enough now, and I've decided to re-enter the workforce by going to college. I've settled, or I think I've settled, on the medical assistant field. And I want to go to a private college. And
excuse me, would that be a college program or a kind of a technical program?
Technical program.
Do you do that in college or in trade school of some kind?
It's like a trade school. It's it's like a trade school.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the investment for an 18-month program is $11,000, around $11,000.
Big time.
Yeah. And
what are you prepared to be when that $11,000 has been spent?
A medical assistant.
What does that mean? What can you do?
Well, I can go into a hospital and work in the hospital offices, doing medical transcriptionists and jobs like that in the office. If they train you in medical terminology and so forth and so on. And then you could work in a doctor's office, the front and back offices.
Do people, no, this is a question because I don't know. Do people who do that sort of work customarily train for it in formal training such as you're describing, or do they learn as they go kind of on the job?
I don't know. That's what I was calling you for to hope.
Well, I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe I got a feeling that if we look hard enough and long enough, we'll find somebody on the party line that might know.
Okay.
Well, let's see. I want you to hang on. If you're a physician or you run a medical office or you work in a hospital, is it necessary for someone to go to school? Is it desirable for someone to go to school for this kind of training? Or are they better to get a job as a unit clerk or something of that nature and kind of learn on the job? Telephone number is 703-413-8381. Let's do that one again. 703-413-8381. If you know, I'd be appreciative of letting me know. More important, my friend in Lutz, who is a military wife, wants to get in the job force, but before she spends $11,000 and 18 months of her life training to be a medical assistant, essentially not someone who is hands-on, but pushing papers and whatever, is that the best way to get to that position? 703-413-8381. We'll take a little time out, and hopefully one of you guys will be good enough to give me a shout. Now, it's not the other guy that calls, it's you. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I am chatting with Eddie in Lutz. I'd pronounce it Lutz, L-U-T-Z, Florida. And we were hoping to find someone in the medical area that would kind of counsel us a little bit, but son of a gun, my dear, I've struck out.
Oh.
A couple of people said, well, go to community college, it's cheaper, which might be well worth taking to heart, because it's publicly run. But aside from that, I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate your help.
Oh, hold on. We have a physician in Brandon, Florida. Son of a gun. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, you still there?
Yeah, Doc, are you there?
Oh, okay, you're online. Great.
Hi,
well,
if I'm not...
I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and I hire my personnel direct through ads in the paper, and I train them all. I prefer individuals who do not have experience because I want them trained my way.
You and I can identify with that, my friend.
And basically, it's medical legal aspects of medicine, medical record keeping, transcribing. I hire a transcriptionist. My most recent transcriptionist is a young lady straight out of high school. Very good typist, types standard English, and I started teaching her the orthopedic terminology.
What you're looking for is a willing and teachable person as contrasted with a trained person.
Absolutely. I want intelligence. I want drive. I want ambition. I don't want just plain robots that are trained in the way they think things ought to be done.
Indeed.
I especially do not want to hear, this is the way I'm used to doing it.
Don't you love that? After all, well, yeah, I just want to thank you very much because you and I probably can get along pretty well because I suffer from the same disease. I don't want to know what the last guy wanted from you. I want to know what I want. This is what I want from you.
Exactly.
Don't tell me maybe I don't know my business, but I don't want to hear it.
I would advise her to do this. Get a little short CV, go to the local medical offices and apply direct, and try to get an interview with the doctor direct or the person who makes the hiring and firing decisions. Mm-hmm. And if she has a good attitude and a good, we call it appearance or presence, then she'll be hired and trained.
You got a shot. Doctor, thank you so very much.
You're quite welcome. I always listen to your show. It's great.
Thank you, Guy.
Bye-bye.
Well, Lutz, that's the way he sees it, and frankly, I would agree with him.
Okay, great.
I wish you well, dear.
Thank you so much.
Okay, kids. Salina, Kansas. Hello there.
Yes, Bruce?
Yes, indeed.
It is a first-time caller, but long-time listener.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is my situation. I bought a business this summer, and in the middle of negotiations, I had to have major surgery, but I didn't want to give up buying the business, so I went ahead and proceeded with it. There was a manager with the business, and I chose at the time to keep him because I didn't know exactly how I was going to feel.
What kind of business?
Liquor store.
Okay.
And as things proceeded, I felt fine, got a good prognosis. Well, I'm due to financial reasons mainly, is I'm going to have to let my manager go. He had been there a year before, so he's been with me 6 months. And I'm going to ask you what your advice is. I've gotten two different opinions on how to proceed with this.
Well, you have to let him go. You got to let him go.
Yeah.
If it's possible, I try to give him as much notice as you're able. Secondly, if you can afford some kind of a going away present, I'd give him that.
Okay.
And finally, you want to give him, assuming that he deserves it, I'd give him real good references.
Oh, well, yeah. That would not be a problem. That would be, I've had two different opinions. One has said, yes, but you did give him as much notice as you can, which he recommended 2 weeks. And then I talked to someone who had worked in personnel, and they said, well, really, they found to give him severance pay, but to let him go then and there. I guess I kind of worry about what is he going to do.
Well, that depends upon the individual.
Yeah, and I don't know him that well.
Well, how well do you know him?
Well, I work with him every day.
Well, how long?
Oh, how many hours, you mean?
No, what I'm trying to get to is, do you have what you're concerned is he going to steal if you let him go?
Well, oh, no, I don't. Stealing.
What then? What are you concerned? Well, then what are you concerned about?
Well, got a computer there, and, you know.
What about the computer?
Huh?
What about it?
Well, you know, you can do damage with something like that.
Well, same thing. I mean, or let's say, are you concerned that he may exercise some kind of retribution against you for letting you go?
Yeah.
If that's some concern of yours, then I would do the same thing. I'd give him a month's pay and say goodbye.
Yeah.
How much you pay him?
It comes to about $22,000 a year.
All right, so it's a little over $400 a week, right?
Yeah, and then he gets well, that does include medical.
It does or does not?
I was going to pay his month's medical.
Well, you can do that.
And, other, you know.
You can say, look, he has the COBRA option. He can keep it for 18 months.
Right,
And you can say, I'm going to pay it for the next 30 days, and you can give him 2 weeks' pay or 3 weeks, whatever you think you can afford. It seems reasonable. And there are people that would be very gracious and do their job up to the last day. Let's face it, people do get laid off all the time. It's unfortunate, but it happens. There are others that might take it a little differently, and Lord, there's a lot of nuts out there. You read the newspapers. So you have to evaluate the guy that you're dealing with. It sounds like you're trying to be fair. And you can also try and help him find a job, which is a whole other program. Give him as much assistance in that regard as is possible. Thank you so much for joining us, my friends. It's been a good hour. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. So you have a big health fair where you're going to show all the latest medications and you invite them. Somehow or other, that doesn't seem very smart to me, you see. Anyway, I often think that big companies survive in spite of themselves, not because of themselves. As I say, I'm not the least bit angry. I just think it's funny as hell that they send a card telling me what they're going to do to be in competition with us, and then talk about alcohol-free, which is perfectly acceptable. Don't misunderstand me. But to someone in the liquor business, somehow that just doesn't ring so true. But, son, if I were you, I'd go out there and knock their butts off, go to law school, study hard, use the money that was... Frankly... Are your parents still in the picture?
As far as?
Are they alive?
Yes.
Well, what do they think about you taking money that they probably worked very hard for and earmarked for education and thrown it into some cockamamie business venture?
They haven't really been advised yet.
In other words, they have not reached orbit yet.
Well, that's right.
Yeah,
well, my thought was, though, if it did take off and it started making a little money, then I wouldn't need to keep taking loans throughout law school.
And if it doesn't take off, then what?
So then I take out the loans and then I come out of law school.
Then you take out bigger loans than you have to take out now.
Just count on the money after law school.
That isn't the issue. I think it's a rotten thing to do to your parents. Certainly, I think at the very least, you have an obligation to go to them and say, this is what I'm going to do. And if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it.
I would certainly do that. I wouldn't just invest it without...
Well, if your parents are capable of earning this much money, they're capable of telling you it's a dumb idea.
Okay.
Okay, kid.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
It's been a pleasure. Well, maybe there'll be somebody that might want to do it. But 29 grand, I don't see it happening. Or 25 or 20. Don't see it happening.
The equipment under high pressure and cleaning is same as is 2/3 of that.
I'm not suggesting it's overpriced for what you got.
No, okay.
I'm suggesting that. Look, I know that. Look, I read an article today in there where was a Lamborghini costs $235,000. You can rent one, you can lease one with only $53,000 down and $3,000 a month. And I'm sure somebody that's out there is going to do that. And you might find one or two people that would pay 30 grand to have their own car wash in their house. But I don't believe you can ever make a living at it.
Appreciate your comments.
It's just only my opinion, guy, and I don't mean to rain on your parade.
Well, believe me, you're not going to stop me for this one.
Well, I know. There's no reason in the world. I don't want to stop you.
I know you don't. I know
and
that.
if you succeed, I'll be very happy to talk about it here and say, boy, well, I was stupid again.
Well, I wouldn't want you to have to say that.
I'd be glad.
I understand.
I'd be glad to say it. To be continued.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Appreciate your time.
You're very, very welcome. Braden's in Florida. Hello there. Or Brooksville, excuse me.
Hi.
Brooksville, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question about a cruise. I won a...
You didn't win. You saw...
Yeah.
I'll bet you got a card in the mail.
No, it's,
a whole letter?
It's a sheet of paper.
I'm sorry?
And it's a sheet of paper, and it says that...
Whatever.
Right.
It says,
that
hello,
I have a
sucker.
round-trip cruise for
It says, hello, sucker, you won something.
Yeah.
It may as well say hello, sucker, because that's exactly
what
what
I was more concerned about was it says that that there's a $99 processing fee per person.
Sweetheart, look, what's your first name?
Lynn.
Lynn, you are being swindled. They're making a sucker out of you. Now, do you want that to happen to you?
No, that's why I called you, because I know that you take a lot of trips and travel around.
I wouldn't take that trip. What they're doing is they're hustling you, baby. Now, you really believe you won something? Hello?
Oh, well, I don't know. That's why, it's...
Lynn, you want to believe, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's why these guys prosper. Because people like you want to believe that you're going to get something for nothing or near nothing. And that's not going to happen. But they are always going to prosper as long as there are gullible people like yourself that think, gosh, I've been lucky on this one. Now, I don't know why you got this. It could be you filled out one of those little coupons that you find on top of cigarette machines and whatever. Did you fill any of those out in the last 6 months?
No, it's supposedly from a sweepstakes from a mail order catalog.
Hello. All it has written on it, it may just as well say, hey, hello, Lynn, you're a sucker, so that's the reason we want to deal with you. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so you don't think it's worth anything at all?
How many ways?
I mean,
how many ways can I put that, Lynn? Shall I put it more strongly? I mean, they'll throw me out of here. Come on. Do I think it has any value? Well, what does it weigh?
Oh, maybe a couple ounces.
No, I don't think it weighs that much. Well, you figure that if scrap paper is worth so much a ton, do the division, and that's what it's worth.
Okay, well, that's all
not
I
a
wanted
penny
to know.
more. Save your money. You want to go on a cruise? Spend the appropriate amount of money and go on a cruise.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to.
All right.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
Our telephone number, 800-743-8000. We have some open lines, 800-743-8000. If you'd prefer, give us a shout tonight from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. I don't know where it was I wrote something. It was probably one of the books. I don't remember. But I said that the typical call we get is after I spend 10 minutes saying you're a chump, this is a sucker thing, they're trying to swindle you, they're trying to take your money, you didn't win anything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And finally then, after all of that, I know it's going to come, just like it did with Lynn. But is there some way I can find out if this one is legitimate? Well, as long as people think that way, these guys and gals are going to drive Mercedes. That's what it comes down to. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Waynesville, Ohio, welcome to my world.
Yes, how you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good, good. I've got a question here. This is my first time around, so bear with me.
Not to worry, baby. We haven't lost a caller yet.
I was hit in an auto accident. I was the third car involved. Ended up finding out after about 3 days, this guy was uninsured. And here in the state of Ohio, it's the state law. You have to have liability insurance.
Now, where were you in this? Where was he in this daisy chain?
Okay, he was the one that caused it. He's the one that ran the red light.
Well, without regard to that, talk to me. Tell me what happened.
Okay, what happened was I was stopped at a red light.
Right.
And he was coming in the opposite direction. He ran through the red light. The car to the left of me broadsided him and shoved him into me.
Car broadsided him.
Right, there was a car going through the green light and hit him as he went through the red light.
From right to left?
Please?
Where was the car? I'm having a
Okay, yeah, the car to me was on my left. She was going like...
he was coming the opposite direction you were pointed, is that correct?
Right.
And somebody broadsided him on his driver's side?
On his right side, no, on his passenger side.
Then they were coming from your left to right then?
Right, right.
And they drove his car into you?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And, well, at the time of the accident, he lied to the police officer and said he had insurance. And I even called that insurance company.
What difference would that have made?
Huh?
Whether he lied or not didn't change anything.
Yeah, right. But it's just been a long ordeal it took me 3 days to find out he actually didn't have insurance on the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to his first court date thing. I showed up at it.
You said this happened 3 days ago.
No, this happened. It took 3 me 3 days to find out that he didn't have insurance. This happened on October 11th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it took 3 days to find out.
Okay, so you go to court. Well, I'm not sure it's going to mean very much, but you went to court.
Right, I just wanted to see what was going to happen.
And what did happen?
Well, he got scared, and he told me he'd pay. He's going to pay me my damages.
Without regard to that, what happened in court?
Nothing. They just more or less slapped him on the hand, and that they were going to report it to the BMV, and they were going to suspend his license.
They'll suspend it until he pays for the accident. Do you have collision on your car?
Please?
Do you have collision insurance on your car?
Yes, I do. But I got a $500 deductible.
Well, how much damage was done?
A little over $2,000.
Collect from your own company.
Okay, but see, I called my insurance company, and I talked to 3 different people in there, and they told me that they weren't going to sue him.
They probably won't, because he hasn't got anything.
Well, they just told me it was a smaller amount.
Pardon me?
They just told me it was too small of a claim for them to even try.
That's called subrogation. They probably won't. Why are they telling you that? Because it's not worth, you think, because they want to throw money away?
Right. Well,
what they are telling you is that this guy is probably not able to pay. And the only thing that you can do is, in most states, I don't know if this is true in Ohio, but I suspect it probably is, if you do go after him, and you can do that because your company will first of all, if you collect from your own company, they're going to have to give you the right to sue him because you gave up that right when you collect from them.
Right, they did. They gave me the right that I could.
They'll give you the right to go after him. Get your money from your own company.
Right.
And the one thing you can do is you go after him, and he will get his license lifted until such time as he pays. And that's a pretty strong motivation device to get him to cough at the dough sooner or later.
Right.
But you'll be sitting waiting until you're old and gray.
Okay.
So in the meantime, at least get the $1,500 from your own company.
Right. I did do that, and I've got my car fixed and such, and I am going to take him to a small claims court, try to get back my rental car amount and my out-of-pocket, deductible.
Well, you go for, no, that's not what you do. You go for the whole works.
Okay, but if I do that, would I have to pay that other amount back to my insurance?
Yes, you would, but you go for as much as you can. Take yours first, and if there's any more, you give it to the insurance company.
Okay.
But the thing is that the strong motivating device here is going to be his loss of license. That's what you're going for.
Right.
But have you collected from your own company yet?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you were dumb what I told you.
Yeah, I've done that. See, some of the stuff I've done. It's just, I'm just trying to see where I'm at, what else maybe I can do, and I was wondering, now, you may be a silly question, but...
there's only silly answers. Very rarely a silly question.
Okay, because I'm looking at my way. Like my husband and I were married, and so I consider us as like partners as one. Okay,
partners in crime.
Right. Is there any way that I can sue his wife to come into court? Because this guy's like scum. She has, because what happened was when I talked to her on the phone, she goes, he pays his insurance and I pay mine on her car, even though they're married. I didn't know if there was a.
No, hold on.
Just to try to ensure me I get paid.
Take a deep breath.
Okay.
If she has assets and the car is in his name, you can't go after her assets.
Okay. I'm not even completely sure if it's in both of their names or just his, the vehicle that he drove.
Well, when the accident took place, somebody must have conjured up a registration, didn't they?
I don't know. All I got is the police report, and I don't have anything else proving to me that it was only in his name.
I didn't ask you. I asked you a question at the accident scene. Did not you ask for his registration?
No.
Why not?
I didn't think about it.
It's always, at any time you have an accident, anytime, you get the registration.
Okay. No, I didn't.
Well, from the police report, it will likely show the registration.
Okay.
And the chances are it's in his name.
Okay.
And the fact that you consider yourself a team is all very laudable and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But her assets are not his in this respect.
Okay.
So if the car was in both names and whatever, there might be a different story.
Right.
But I don't think that
I thought it might be a losing cause, but I thought.
I think the whole thing is a losing cause, pretty candidly.
Oh, you don't even think I should even take him to court?
No, I didn't say that. At least cause him some grief.
Yeah, that's what I feared too. And I feared, well, even if I can't really sue his wife, it only costs an extra $5 to take him into small claims.
Well, no, wait a minute. Hold it. Leave his wife alone.
Yeah.
Unless her name is in there someplace, she has no responsibility that I know of.
Okay.
But you can at least get his license taken away from him.
Right.
And of course, the other side, you're totally ignoring this other party that's involved here. The guy that slammed into him. Where do they come off?
Well, their car was paid for, and they don't have. All they had was liability.
So, are they going to sue him?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's because, her insurance, what has she got? I guess the kind of insurance she has is if she hits somebody, she can pay for their damage, but on her own.
I understand that, but that doesn't prevent her from suing him.
Right.
Is she going to do so?
From what I've talked to her, no.
Okay. Well, the chances are you get any money are relatively slim, but at the very least you get this guy's license yanked, and there's something to be said for that. Good luck, sweetheart. I'm Bruce for Talknet. Hey, what are you doing between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. tomorrow morning? Well, during a portion of that time, I hope you're talking to me. Yeah, we're recording, playing some shows on tape, broadcasting with a future date. The number, 800-743-8000. Very easy to get in because we move along very rapidly. Atlanta, Georgia. Hello there. Welcome.
Thank you, Bruce. I really like your show.
Well, thanks, Guy.
Well, listen, I got a question. My wife has been offered into a plan at work. It's called a 125 plan or something like that. Basically, what it does is that you are able to take pre-tax dollars to pay for deductions such as child care expense, out-of-pocket medical expenses. Have you heard of anything like this?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
Okay. That's why I called you.
Not familiar with it.
Okay.
Just you say pre-tax dollars.
Pre-tax dollars. What they do is they say that you can take out, let's say, $50 a month or $100 a month for out-of-pocket medical expenses. Then they will write a check to you for that amount when you use it up. If by the end of the year you don't use up all that money, they get to keep it.
Is that right?
Yeah. They also offer that if you have your child in child care and your child care is costing you, let's say, $200 a month, they will take it out of your check before it is taxed, before the money is taxed, and pay your child care. That way, you're dropping, let's say, your gross income at the beginning of the month, from your paycheck is $1,000 a month.
They're making this a benefit, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And they claim this is appropriate and proper?
Yeah, they say the Internal Revenue Service allows you to pay for certain expenses with pre-tax dollars.
Well, I think that's probably true, but can you take it out of one guy's and not out of the next, from a special... maybe you can, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's see if we can find somebody who does know, because I have not heard of this.
Okay.
Number is 703-413-8381. 703-413-8381. What it amounts to is, can you elect to have money, your salary reduced, and then have the employer pay for certain fringe benefits? That's what it comes down to. Can you do that? Or how do they explain three people with the same job, two of them making one rate and a third making another rate, the other guy gets more fringe benefits? Maybe you can do that, but I'd like to know how. It opens some doors for me. 703-413-8381. Washington, D.C., hello there.
Bruce?
Yes.
In answer to your question, I'm a certified financial planner and an enrolled agent.
Yes, sir.
What the gentleman's referring to could be one of two things. One is called a cafeteria plan, which is the Internal Revenue Code of Section 125.
I know what a cafeteria plan is.
Well, that's the 125. Now, the
cafeteria plan, though, doesn't reduce your pay.
No.
You can't say, well, look, take $200 off my child care and then pay it. I'll make less money, and you're paid with...
Well, a cafeteria plan can reduce your pay for the simple reason that you have an option whether you want to take the salary or take the benefit.
Well, oftentimes the reason, for example, if there's a replication of benefits.
Right.
Two people are working, husband and wife, there's really no reason for them both to get hospitalization.
That's correct.
If the family plan is available on job A, why in the world would you want to get a replication on job B?
That's correct.
So you can take a similar number of dollars and some other benefit, but I was not aware of the fact that you could go in there and say, okay, let's reduce, I want to get some picks up in child care. I got to pay it anyway.
Right.
So therefore, reduce my pay. Just reduce my pay and then you pay it. I don't know that you can do that.
All right, well, what the gentleman's referring to is called a flexible spending account. Now, a flexible spending account is in which the employer says, all right, instead of salary, you can set aside up to $3,000 for medical expenses, including health insurance premiums and other out-of-pocket expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing you got to be careful about is that if at the end of the year you spend, let's say, $2,000 to the $3,000, you lose that $1,000.
Yeah, he said that. He pointed that out.
So that's what's called a flexible spending account.
Well, how do you do that?
Well, this has to be obviously in writing.
Yeah.
All right. It has to be, the personnel department has to write out the plan.
Why wouldn't everybody do that?
What do you mean, employers?
Yeah.
Because some employers are lazy. They don't want to offer all the benefits.
Any employer can say, look, I'll withhold the money from your pay, or effectively reduce your pay by, let's say, $50 a week, $2,400 a year. And then you will get a credit on which to draw, but that money will be tax-free.
That's right. You know, there's a very good reason why employers should do it. They'll save the Social Security and Medicare
contribution. Contribution. That's the same kind of contribution you give to a mugger.
Yeah. But they'll save on that part of it, too, you got to realize.
That's right. It's 7%.
That can add up if you have a lot of employees.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
It's a very good benefit.
I was not aware that such a thing existed.
I hope that answers your question.
It certainly does, and I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In Atlanta, I hope it answers yours.
I'm sorry?
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Good luck, guy. I'm very happy to learn about these things. Maybe I ought to examine that for me. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Fayetteville, Arkansas, it's your turn in my world.
Yes, Bruce, I want to let you know I really appreciate the show, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for calling, kid. What's on your mind?
Oh, I had a partnership 2 years ago, and we ran up about $60,000 in debt.
Only $60,000, huh?
Only 60. Yeah, and my partner decided to quit, and leave you hanging.
Mm-hmm.
And
what kind of a business was this?
Oh, we had a plumbing and heating business.
He just walked away, huh?
Yes, sir, he did. He wanted, I thought that we would go like about 20 or 30% to begin with, and then give him.
What does that mean? Wait, hold on. What, 20, 30? What are you talking about?
I thought that he would work up to 50% of the business, but he wanted 50% up front, so we gave him 50%.
Maybe I'm missing something. You were partners. Generally means partners.
Right.
Now, did he put any money up?
No.
Did you?
I had the business started when he came aboard.
How much did you? Oh, then why would you make him a full partner?
Future business. A qualified person brings you more money.
Didn't work that way.
No, sir.
What happened?
Gosh, you just get to running, and next thing you know, your payroll. You're going 8 guys a week and your payroll is $4,000 a week, and next thing you know, in 10 weeks, you're $40,000 in a hole.
Yeah, but weren't they doing any business?
Evidently not.
What do you mean, evidently? You were running this thing.
Well, yeah, I was running the thing, but...
were you doing business?
Sure.
Well, then...
but...
You see, hold on. You're telling me, you say, well, gee, there it was, $4,000 a week, $40,000 in a hole, but how about the money coming in? What happened to that?
Well, maybe it wasn't enough to make payroll or whatever at that point.
Apparently. You keep saying maybe. It would appear it wasn't.
Yes, sir, it wasn't.
Okay.
True. I agree with you.
Okay, now your partner split, huh?
Yeah, and the thing was that when he split, I told him that I would take care of the bills. Because
was this a corporation?
No.
All right,
just a partnership. And the thing was, I got tired of haggling. You know what I mean? And
I really don't know what you mean. No.
Well, there comes a certain point after a year, after you're haggling and trying to get money to pay your creditors.
Haggling with whom?
My former partner.
Well, what were you? Maybe I'm sorry. What were you disagreeing about? Haggling about what?
Paying back the $60,000.
This is after you folded?
No, we didn't fold. My business is still going. That's the thing. See, out of the 60, I've paid back 43,000 of it at this point.
Very good. Okay, go ahead.
And what I did was I signed a $15,000 securities agreement for him. That was that I would pay the bills. In other words.
No, I don't understand that. What are you talking about? $15,000 security with him, or for him? What does that mean?
Well, that meant that if I didn't pay the bills, that I would pay him $15,000.
Oh, why did you do that?
To try to get shed of it, Bruce.
Did your lawyer recommend that?
I didn't have a very good lawyer.
Did he recommend that?
Well, I fired my attorney because I wasn't getting any satisfaction. And $110 an hour, you...
But the lawyer did not... No lawyer recommended this, I take it.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
But the thing is, see, I paid back $43,000 to this point.
All right.
And what I want to know is, do you think that $15,000 securities interest agreement has any bearing since I paid back $43,000?
I haven't a clue. I don't know what you signed.
It was just an agreement that I would pay the past debts.
Right, and you're doing that.
Right.
Well, when you get it paid off, it would seem to me that agreement has no value. But you still owe $17,000.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about that? You going to continue to pay?
Sure.
Okay, well, I don't think you have to worry about it. I don't understand why you did what you did. I mean, let's start with that. You say you want to get shut up. If he had nothing going for him, what was he going to do? The company's $60,000 down. What was his hammer he was carrying around?
Well, we had property that the business had to have to function.
And his name was on it?
Yeah.
And he signed off, you mean?
Basically.
No, not basically. Did he sign off?
Well, no, what he did was he withheld this agreement with the equipment that we have.
What about, you said property. Do you mean real property or do you mean equipment?
Equipment.
All right. And he still has ownership of this equipment or some interest?
Well, he has the agreement that has the equipment listed on the agreement.
You still have to pay him another $15,000. Is that what you're telling me?
If I don't pay the other 17.
But if you pay the other 17, this is null and void. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're sure of that?
Yes.
Okay, in that case, just pay the 17 and get on with your life.
Okay, but in case I can't pay the 17, would you think that the 43 would be enough?
Then it may well. No, I wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so. Since I signed it, I signed it.
That's right.
Okay.
I don't know why you signed it, but that's another program.
Business duress, let's call it.
Okay, let's call it that. I hope things work out well for you, guy.
Bruce, I appreciate your time.
You've certainly done well up until now. Just keep slugging.
Okay.
Northfield, New Jersey. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Pleasure talking to you. I've been listening to you for a long time, and it's a pleasure to have you spend some time with you.
Well, thank you very much, my friend. What's on your mind?
Bruce, like you, I travel a little bit, and I've learned to like cruising.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we were on a cruise in November, my wife and myself, and we had a incident on board where there was a fire, and we were still docked, thank God.
Is that Bermuda?
No, in Cozumel. We were on a 4-day cruise out of Miami.
What was the ship?
The ship's name?
Yeah.
He asked me not to mention it.
Well, I'm asking you. What was the ship's name?
Seaward.
Okay, I'm sure I'm trying to keep up with those things. Go ahead. So what happened?
And, well, thank God we were still at dock. It was late at night.
Mm-hmm.
We were asked to evacuate, but before that even happened, my wife and I already did. We were escorted through cruise quarters, through the bottom of the ship. We couldn't even see our hand in front of our face. The smoke was so thick.
Huh. What was burning?
They claimed there was a small fire at linen closet, but it went down the hallway, into the ceiling, and everything else. While we were on the dock, you could see it. You could see the flames. You could see the smoke was terrible. And
a lot more than a linen closet. Huh?
Well, what happened? I believe what happened was I believe it started in the linen closet, and when they opened it up to try to put it out, they lost control.
Okay.
And it went down the hallway.
All right.
This is what I believe. They won't admit to it.
All right. Was anybody hurt?
Nobody was hurt other than maybe a crew member, but again, that was only rumored. They wouldn't let much out.
All right.
Now, what happened? Now, this was near the end of the cruise, but it ruined the rest of our vacation because of the smoke inhalation and everything. My wife's allergies acted up, and she was, her sinuses and everything was kicked up, so she wasn't able to enjoy the rest of her week. And we wrote to the cruise company, asked them for something, asked them what they were going to do. They sent us a letter back.
Well, hold on now. Did you get back on the ship when this was put out?
After it was put out. Well, now, there's more to this.
Well, I'm asking you simple. Did you go back on the ship?
Yes.
And it took you back to Miami?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I want to know. Go ahead.
There was about 10 to 20 passengers that we know of that would not reboard.
Why?
They were scared.
Well, that's...
They were foreigners. I think they were South Americans.
Well, whatever.
And they were scared.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, like I said, sitting on the dock, the smoke was unbelievable. We were on the dock probably 3 hours.
All right.
And you could see the flames. You could see them fighting it. And certain people, including myself, asked if we could inspect the area to see if it was safe.
How would you know?
Well,
serious.
Make you feel better.
Well, okay. But, I mean, you wouldn't know any more than I would.
And asked if there was any officials aboard or any government agency that would be looking to inspect.
What government agency would be around?
That's what they said.
Well, I mean, tell me.
Well, I thought maybe Mexico might have one.
Boy, there'd be somebody I really trust for my safety.
Well, something's better than nothing sometimes.
I don't agree with that at all.
But they said no. But and they said everything was all right. You know, they said it was just more smoke than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple of cabins that I'm aware of that had some water damage underneath.
Okay, so what? I mean, look, things happen. We can agree on that.
Right.
And nobody got hurt, and the ship didn't sink. Probably some stink on the boat after a fire. They put you back on. They took you to Miami. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
Some people didn't get back on. Too bad for them.
That's
those are like the same people, when an airplane blows an engine. And that's happened. I've been on aircraft that have blown an engine. And you go back and I'm not getting another airplane. Well, come on, will you? Those things, this is part of traveling. Just goes with the turf.
Okay, but...
I'll tell you what, let me take a little time out, because I'm going to otherwise they'll be giving me a hard time. You and I'll get back together. Fair enough? Stick around. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Hi, I'm chatting with a gentleman who had an unhappy cruise, had a fire on the ship in port, got off the thing, then they had the usual inconvenience involved, but they did get back on the ship and went back to Miami. How about the rest of the ride? Was it a decent ride? Food was okay and all that good stuff?
Well, other than the fact that everything was inconvenienced because of the fire.
Yeah, but I mean,
the smell of the fires was with us the whole time.
Okay, was it? But the fact that your wife has allergies and whatever is really not somebody else's problem. In other words, put it another way: if I were along, would I had a problem, or did you have a problem with that stuff?
Mine was for that night because I sucked in some smoke. But other than that,
on balance, being realistic, you don't have it. You're not a sick person. Your wife is.
She was fine before.
Well, but she's still wait a minute.
Fine a few days later.
I have friends who have allergies. Takes nothing away from them. They're nice people, but they have a weakness. It's called an allergy. Now, I don't know that something that doesn't affect and that means they're not normal. Would you agree to that? It's abnormal to have a sickness. I've got sicknesses. It's abnormal. So do you. Allergies are abnormal, are they not?
Well,
yes or no?
That's a tough label to put on it.
What is a tough label? I have a very good friend who cannot have salt. That's abnormal. There are people who cannot have anything with with a lot of fat in it. I don't tolerate sugar well. That's abnormal. You have an ice cream cone, right?
All right.
I don't eat ice cream cones because it doesn't do me. It's just not good for me. So that's abnormal. It's away from norm. And your wife's allergies, it's not a disgrace. It's not a pejorative statement, but it's an accurate statement.
So you think we're wrong for looking for some type of compensation?
I think they'll probably throw you something off the next cruise is what they're going to offer you.
Well, what they had written back in their reply was that the next time we cruise with them, that there would be some amenities.
Okay, same thing.
They were assuming that we would cruise again with them. Now, this was the third time we did cruise with this line.
Okay, so why would you not? Because they had a fire?
It was handled poorly, Bruce. If you were there, I mean, it was handled poorly.
I'm not going to I was on a cruise a couple months ago, and they had an engine problem. No big deal. And so they said that they had to skip a port because they just couldn't make enough speed. And they gave everybody $200 or $300, I forget what it was, $300 off. Everybody's happy as a clam. I thought they handled it very well.
Well, the only thing they did on board was give everybody a glass of champagne.
Well, I think they could have done more than that. But actually, what can you give people on a cruise? Everything's included to begin with.
This is true.
There's not much you can give somebody.
It's one of the best vacations in the world.
Right, except something off on that. I think they should have given you some kind of a refund. A couple $100, $100, not a whole lot of money.
Well,
or a certificate giving you $200 or $300 off on the next cruise. But this kind of stuff happened. I was talking, this is some years ago, to a very good friend. At that time, he was flying 707, so you can tell how long ago it was, right? And we were talking about this the other day because, I'm doing a little flying now. And he sucked a goose up the engine. Fortunately, he aborted and so forth. Some people got off. I'm not going to fly in airplanes again. My God. That's part of the hazard of flying, driving, or whatever. You have a fender bender, you don't stop driving a car. And these things do happen. It's just part of life. Don't let it spoil your life. But I do think you're entitled to something. I do wish you well. I'm Bruce for Talknet. Waveland. Hello there.
Yes, hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi. I've got a question I wanted to ask you just to get your advice. Maybe I'm being foolish and kind of stupid, and maybe I'm not, but I wanted to put it to you, see what you can tell me.
Let us talk.
All right. I'm almost 53. In another couple of months, I'll be 53 years old.
Oh, you're an old one, huh?
Yes, I feel that way. I have a chance to take retirement at 59. I don't have to, but I'll have 30 years in, and I'll get a full pension if I want to.
At 59?
At 59.
All right, now,
which is 6 years away.
Well, okay.
Okay.
What happens if you stay till 60? Hold on.
All right.
These are simple questions.
Okay.
Do you get a bigger pension?
Yes.
And a 61?
No, I think it's every 5 years, if I stay 5 more years.
I see. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I was thinking of taking the retirement. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking of it. And I want to return to my hometown where I grew up in. I know the community, I know the town, I know everything about it.
Where's that?
It's up in almost near the Tennessee line. It's a small town in Mississippi. It's a little just north of outside of Tupelo. And I know the community. I know everything about it, and I go up there quite frequently anyway. I found a nice, cute little house that I really like, and I think I would like it to be my retirement home. I have a chance to buy it for $23,000. I've got that much cash that I can easily pay for it.
Is that a good buy?
I think it's a good buy. The bank has appraised it. It's been appraised at 23 or 23.5. It's right at the appraisal.
Well, and it's not a good buy. It's just an average buy.
Okay, it's an average buy.
No, I'm serious. If it were appraised at 33, that's a good buy.
Okay, no, they're selling it for the appraisal price.
You're not stealing it.
No, I'm not stealing it, but I do like the house. I like it very much. And I thought, I know you always say it's a bad investment to buy property, single-family houses for rental.
I think that's true.
All right, but this is, I'm not considering it really for rental. I don't need it for rental. If I pay cash for it, I may rent it for 6 years while I'm waiting to go back.
How much could it rent for?
I could get about $300 a month.
Well, $300 a month on a $23,000 property is not bad. In fact, it's not bad at all.
Okay.
The only thing the problem is, you're how far away? Where you're in Waverly? Where?
I'm in Waveland. Yeah, I'm down on the coast. So I'm about.
Waveland, what city? What state?
In Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
So how far away are you?
About 200 miles.
Well, it's not the end of the world.
No, yeah, it's not that far.
I mean, what I'm trying to get to is if something happens, you can get there. It's not real convenient, but you can get there.
Right, I can.
Well...
But I could wait until 6 years and just make up my mind and then go up there and buy what's available at that time. I didn't know whether it's a wise thing to try to buy now and then have it for my retirement.
I really don't think so. I don't think the property in that area of the country is going to go crazy. There's nothing. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening there that nobody's putting in there.
Not for the last 40 years.
No, you know what I'm saying? There's nobody's building a big auto plant or something that would change things.
No, nothing. Nothing's changed in the last 30 years. Hardly at all. I mean, a few people died, and a few properties come on the market.
And a couple got born, I imagine.
Yes, a couple more got born. That's true.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You may change your mind. I know you're set on it. It'd be great, and maybe that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But you also may decide. You may take a vacation to Florida and say, "What am I crazy? I'm going to retire to Florida." Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know for sure. That's true.
I don't think I'd do that if I were you.
Okay. That's why I wanted to. I was kind of excited about it. The real estate's trying to push it at me.
Well, boy, there's a surprise.
Yeah. So I thought I'd just give you a call and see if you thought that it was a good thing for me to do or not.
A lot can change in 6 years.
Yes, I know that.
I think and managing property from a distance, I can testify to, is a nuisance.
Yes.
So if I were you,
I'm sure if I really want to go up there in 6 years, I'll find.
I got a feeling that somebody, or you could buy a place, or you could build a place. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
I got a feeling.
Okay.
Good. I do wish you well, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bruce. Thanks. Bye.
Spring, Texas. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. What's on your mind?
Oh, thank you for taking my call. I have to say first, Bruce, though, when I get all stressed out, I get in my car and I listen to you, because I can't pick it up in the house very well, and your voice just calms me. It soothes me.
Oh,
you're wonderful.
Aren't you sweet?
Well, thank you. Okay, what I have a problem with is my security alarm system. Okay, these home security.
Yeah, there's a lot.
A ton of them, right?
There's a ton of them around, and there is serious question as to how good some of them are.
Right, exactly. Well, my problem stems from, we'll go back, in the county that I live in. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but the county that I live in, the sheriff's department decided that we would have to have a permit, an alarm permit for our residents if we had a security alarm.
Were they plagued with a lot of false alarms?
Yes.
Okay, well, they're trying to do something about that.
Sure, and I understand that. I understand that. But we have a constable service in our neighborhood.
What is a constable service?
It's like a sheriff's department. It's law enforcement, and we have little precincts, and so we have a constable service, and we pay for the extra protection.
That's what I was going to ask you. This is not tax supported.
No, sir. Well, yes, sir, it is to a point, but we pay for him to come in and patrol our neighborhood.
On his own time?
Yes, sir.
Well, then it's like a little private police system.
Exactly. Okay? So, now, keep in mind that when we got this constable service, I called the security company and said, for the law enforcement notification, to please call this constable service. They said, no problem. All right. About 2 weeks ago, we got a bill from the sheriff's department for false alarms this summer to the tune of $375.
For one false alarm?
Well, no, I think there was 5. We were on vacation, and a young man down the street was watching the house for us, and he kept leaving the door open or setting off the alarm.
Oh,
yeah.
How old was this youngster that you
Well, 12.
Well, that's your...
Yeah, that was my fault.
I was going to say, that wasn't the swiftest thing you'd done this week.
Right, exactly. So, like I said, but we were under the... and back up for the permit now, when all the notification came out, I called the sheriff's department and said, well, we have the constable listed as the law enforcement agency. Do I need a permit? And I was told no.
Okay.
But come to find out, the security company was calling the sheriff's department and not the constable
In
service.
short, they screwed up.
Yes. But now they are saying that they deny any responsibility. They sent a copy of my contract, and it has in their handwriting to contact the sheriff's department. There's no...
How did you change from the sheriff's department to this new entity?
By call. I'd say that's the problem. I called.
That was not the smartest thing you did in this week
Right.
either.
Now, since then, of course, we faxed it, make copies and fax it.
But that's locking the door well after the animals have been purloined, right?
Right.
I think you're stuck with this one.
Oh, poo.
I mean, you have nothing to demonstrate what you're telling me. Okay. If you said, look, I got a letter here, and I asked for acknowledgement, and they gave it to me, say, hey, it's their baby. But how do you prove anything?
I know. See, I think I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, huh?
I don't think it's a hard place. You're just stuck. It goes beyond that. How many of your neighbors have this other outfit get notified, the constable, wherever they are?
Probably 95%.
And how did they notify these people?
Probably the same way I did.
Well, has any of them called the constable? Have there been alarms sent to the constable as a result of all this? Well, I'm trying to get to, if you could prove some kind of a mass problem where they didn't notify any, they kept calling the sheriff even though they were notified, maybe you have something going for you.
Okay, I can check on that then. Well, now, today I received a summons to appear in court.
Well, you didn't pay.
Well, not yet. They didn't give me a chance.
What's the summons for?
For failure to have the permit.
Oh, that too, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to have to answer that as well.
Oh, my.
What do you mean, oh, my? That's part of the game, baby.
Will you talk me into it?
Well, I don't... Listen.
Talk me while I'm going in there, put it that way.
How old are you?
38.
Are you attractive, lady?
Of course I am.
Well, how do you look in stripes?
Yeah. Oh. If I go in wearing my
I mean, how about an orange jumpsuit? You know.
No, that's unfortunately it's not one of my colors.
Is that well? If orange isn't your color,
Then I need
I suggest that you show up in court and you plead your case appropriately. You say, and I would go in there with something written seriously.
Okay.
That your contention is that this was erroneous, that you had done what you believed to be the correct thing, i.e., notify the security company that you wanted this constable to be notified, that you did inquire of the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department advised you that because you had this alternate person to be notified, that there'd be no reason to have you to pay this fee.
Right. Because I know the times that I showed up because I teach at a school close by, and they would also call me, and I would come to the house, a constable would be here.
This is when the alarm went off, you mean?
Yes, sir.
How many false alarms have you had altogether?
I think about 7.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm being serious now because I only have a few seconds. Is the system that you have just too sensitive?
It's very sensitive.
Yeah, well, maybe that ought to be kind of readjusted too. There are some alarm systems. I have one in my office, for example. That old Mickey the Mutt here, from time to time, if I'm going to go somewhere at night, I would drop him off in the office because there's somebody there till late at night, and then they just leave the lights on and go home, and I pick him up. That way he had some company, and they could let him out, at 11 o'clock at night. But you couldn't put the alarm on.
Right.
Because his motion would have the sheriff come running from 9 directions, you see.
Exactly.
And there are alarm systems that are just too sensitive, and you can appreciate why law enforcement agencies are sensitive to this, because they could be out chasing false alarms when something real is happening and somebody could really suffer.
Right, and I understand that. I truly do. So now, if I pay this $375, though, do I get to deduct it from the...
That, I don't know. That you can fight out with them. But by all means, answer the summons in court and maybe get the thing retuned. I'm Bruce for Talknet. Hey, what are you doing about half an hour from now, right through 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time? Well, Mr. Rudd would like to go home and see his offspring and his wife and all that good stuff, but we're keeping him right here in the studio, answering those telephones, twisting the dials. We're recording for about 5 hours. The number's 800-743-8000. It goes real quickly because we have no commercials, no news. All that is inserted at a later date. So you're invited to join us, 800-743-8000 from 10 p.m. through 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Let's go down to the Keys. Largo, Florida. Is that in the Keys?
No. Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
Hi. There's Key Largo, and isn't there a Largo down the Keys?
Yes.
Where are you located?
Right outside of Clearwater.
Okay.
Bay Area?
Yeah, you're my neighbor, FLA country. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Bruce, here's my situation. Back in February of this year, my wife had a little fender bender with an individual who rented a car from a car rental company.
Sure.
And he rented the car with a credit card, which had a buyer's protection and insurance on the car through the credit card.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the credit card or the car rental company sent us a bill 2 weeks later for the damages, which came to almost $600.
May I assume that your wife was at fault in this?
Yes, she was at fault.
Do you have liability insurance?
Yes, we do, and it was never turned over to the insurance company.
Why?
We prefer the rates didn't go up.
Okay, I understand. Sometimes you eat claims in order not to have it chargeable. I understand that.
All right. Well, it was just under $600, and we just agreed to go ahead and pay it in monthly payments. We sent the car rental company, and we responded in writing, and we also sent a check with the first letter. We had no response from them, so the next month we just assumed that they went ahead and agreed.
Oh, well, in other words, they hadn't agreed to this schedule of payments. That you just took it upon yourself.
Well, we sent them a letter stating...
No, I understand all that, but they did not agree before the fact.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
All right. So the next month we didn't hear from them. We just went ahead and sent them another check. And then in April, we got a phone call from a collection agency. We weren't aware at the time that it was a collection agency, but the individual said he represented the credit card company and
the credit card company.
Right.
So they had paid for on behalf of their client then.
That's correct. Okay, so we assumed that at that point, and they sent us all we received in the mail was a copy of the canceled check to the car rental agency.
Your checks were negotiated then?
Our checks were cashed.
Okay.
And also a copy of the canceled check from the credit card company to the car rental company. That we received in the mail. And that assured us that the credit card did pay the car rental company for the balance that we did not pay.
There's no dispute about the amount, then, is that correct?
No, there's no dispute about that.
Okay.
So this individual who we thought represented the credit card company, at that time, we agreed to go ahead and send them monthly payments instead of the car rental company. So all this time has gone by, and in the meantime, we agreed to make the payments by the 15th of every month. And in some cases, they've been a week late, but at any rate, we've paid it every month by the 30th. Which every month...
How much are you sending them, by the way?
Pardon me?
How much a month?
$30 a month. In a couple of months, we sent them $50. Just because we had the extra money.
Sure.
However, and this would have continued, we would have paid off the balance, but the problem arose when he continued to call my wife at work and harass her if the payment wasn't in on the 15th. And then he started calling us at home and harassing us. And I called him last week, and I told him, I said, this has got to stop. I said, you can't call my wife at work anymore. And, we're going to get the money in by the 30th of every month until the balance is due. He's been belligerent.
He can be as belligerent as he wants.
Right.
He can't call you at work if you give him a valid number. We can reach you after work.
Right.
And you've done that.
Okay. Well, what I've done, I've gone further, and I found out that he does not represent the credit card company.
Who does he represent?
A local company here, a local collection agency.
Well, but without regard to that, how did he get put on the case?
I'm really not sure.
Well, then he represents the credit card company.
I called the credit card company. I called the corporate office, and I spoke to a supervisor who assured me that this individual was not in any way, shape, or form a representative of the credit card company.
All right, let's ask you, did you ever send a check to him?
Yes, we sent...
These are yes or no questions.
Yes.
Do you have those checks in your possession?
Our bank keeps the checks. We don't have the canceled checks. But we can get them now.
Fine. Have you ever looked at the back to see who cashed these checks?
No.
Well, why don't you do that?
Okay.
And find out what his connection with, in other words, who he represents. Now, obviously, he didn't just pick your name out of the telephone directory. He knew about this.
Correct.
So he got it from one of two sources: from the rental company who owns the car that was damaged.
Correct.
Alternatively, from the insurance company that paid the claim. Now, are there any other places he could have gotten this information? I
don't believe so.
Okay, so one of those two places. Now, rather than floundering around here, why don't you go back and see who cashed the check?
Okay.
And you're making it out to some foreign company, is that correct? In other words, you don't make it out to the rental car company.
No.
You don't make it out to the credit card company.
No.
You make it out to these guys.
Right.
Well, why don't you call them? You know who they are, and say, would you please provide me with some documentation? They may very possibly have purchased this account.
Well, that's what I believe happened. They got it on cents on for pennies on the dollar.
It doesn't matter. That's their right.
Well, no, that doesn't matter. I guess what I'm getting at, I have no account number with this individual. No contract.
Well, just stop sending money.
Well, that's what we've done. And
that'll get their attention, I guarantee you.
Well, his response to that was, well, I'll see you in court.
Fine. You say, good, I'll see you in court.
That's simple, huh?
Yeah, you say, I want to see what your relationship is and how this obligation is being satisfied. And
well, that's the problem. He sent us no statement and no billing. We don't even know what he...
But you see, I understand all that. But you see, just stopping payments and having these... You had all these phone conversations, right?
Right.
Prove it to me.
Right.
I can't hear you. No. Prove it to me. You cannot, can you? So why don't you reduce this to writing and send him a letter?
Okay.
And you say, I realize an accident took place. I would like to know what your standing in this matter is. I further would like a written acknowledgement of the payments that have been made thus far and a statement on my account.
Right.
As soon as you satisfy me that there is your standing is legitimate, I will continue making the payments. At least if you do go to court, you got something in your hand. Right now, all you got is a phone bill.
Right.
Which is useless.
Right.
I wish you well, kid.
Thank you very much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. WHAM Country, otherwise known as Rochester, New York. Hello there.
Hi.
Hello, baby.
How are you?
I am very well, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, got a wonderful Christmas gift. My husband listens to your station all the time, and I got a book, In Business for Yourself.
Oh, my goodness gracious, by some guy named Williams?
Yes,
That
wonderful
very
book.
Yeah, I'm
It's
telling
pushed
you.
me. It's pushed me right over the edge. I've been an interior decorator for the past 5 years, and have quite a nice clientele, and am interested in going off on my own. Have been doing a lot of side jobs, and one of your chapters specifically mentioned if you're in the field and you do this on the side, it always remains a hobby. And that's what I found has been happening, and would like to just take the plunge. So I thought, who better to ask than yourself?
Uh-oh. So what do you got in mind? Let's talk. What do you have in mind?
Well, what I would like to do is I would like to divulge myself from the company that I work for.
Yeah, you take off from them.
Yes, like them very much. However, I would like to take the plunge and do it on my own.
All right.
As far as financial considerations, I just personally have like my own auto loan and insurance, as well as providing food for a family of 3 children and a hubby. So
was he employed?
Yes, and not a big major expense by any means. But what I would like to do is just take the plunge and do it. But
Let's back up a little bit. How much are you earning right now?
Currently, I just looked at my pay stub, and not even year-end net, but looking at about $18,000, and that's less whatever I've put into my 401.
Well, forgetting that, but you're earning somewhere around $375 a week, something like that.
Thereabouts, but work my tail off. I'm on salary plus commission.
Okay, no, I'm not questioning. I'm just trying to get things into perspective a little bit.
Sure, understand.
Now, you mentioned that you're working a little bit on the side. What do you do? What do you earn working on the side?
Well, currently what I've been doing is I'm an avid home sewer also. So when I go out and sell window treatments, lots of times I can do top treatments myself. And I make the money by doing the sewing in addition to working. And on average, maybe $400 to $600 a month doing those things on the side.
Now, how does that business come to you?
Primarily through the employer that I'm employed through.
I mean, kind of the overflow sort of thing?
Well, when I go out and sell a job, they need a top treatment done or draperies or whatever, rather than charging them the high-end dollar. I'll do it myself, save them a lot of money. I, in return, will make some money.
How does your boss feel about that?
Has no problem.
Okay.
Has no problem.
Then really, if you go on your own, then your current source of clientele dries up.
Somewhat. However, I was employed by another design center previous to the employer I've been with now for almost 4 years. And they followed me from one point to another point, and I've built up a large rapport. So...
Well, but how does that rapport translate into good old American currency?
Some of them are referrals just because of my work, because of me, not because of the company I'm employed with.
What I'm trying to get to is if you cut off your $18,000 a year,
right?
What are you going to do to get business to begin with? How are you going to attract business?
That was my approach to you, Bruce. I was told by some person that I was not to send out a letter specifically stating I now am in business for myself.
You can or cannot?
I was told not to.
Why not? Why not? You can't send a letter to the client you already have.
Correct.
But there would be nothing wrong with a public notice on the radio, in the newspaper.
No, but my previous
that's not
clientele,
Yeah.
I was told not to go out and
I understand that. And that's correct. But there's nothing wrong with saying Mary Jane Smith, formerly of the Jones Company, is now practicing on her own or something.
Okay, there would be nothing legally wrong with that.
No, you're just letting the world know you're out there.
Okay. I
don't know any way you can run an advertisement that is not going to reach some of the people you're already dealing with.
Sure, understand. Also, can I mention my dad or no? He's in another end of the business. He's in a restoration end, and I get a lot of my business.
Well, fine. Then you can you could take his mailing list and mail them.
Right.
What I'm trying to get to is there's going to be, and any time when you start a new business, there's a drought.
Sure.
There usually is a drought.
Sure.
And you have to have enough resources to overcome the drought.
Understand.
There's a chapter someplace in there about undercapitalization. Read it about 5 times.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Read that one a lot.
All right.
I do wish you well, baby.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good luck with the enterprise.
Thank you.
Bakersfield, California. It's your turn in my world. Welcome.
Thank you, Bruce. Tongue-in-cheek, I go to bed with you every night.
Oh, you rascal. You said you'd never tell.
Your program comes on out here on the West Coast on 1410 Talk Radio KERN at 10 o'clock, and I always punch the sleep button there, and I go to sleep knowing that you have handed out the best advice to people. They've either straightened up or accept what they did wrong.
Why don't you speak?
And I appreciate you, and I go to sleep with a smile on my face.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
What can we do for you to keep you awake right now?
I have a business, a gambling casino, in an area just recently annexed into the city from a county.
This is a poker house, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Well, what's allowable in the state of California.
Right. What, you can play poker. What else can you have in California?
Well,
I'm serious.
Texas Hold'em and low ball.
No, but it's poker.
right.
As opposed to 21, that sort of thing.
Right.
Okay, so you're a casino operator, huh?
Uh-huh.
And you're home sleeping while everybody's making money for you.
It runs itself.
Not too
with
shabby.
Employees, of course.
Of course.
The county has allowed, there are four points of operating that are in question here. The county has allowed 24-hour-a-day operation and 10 tables, which I am licensed for, 10 tables.
Mm-hmm.
And because in the complex that I'm located, there is alcohol available.
Mm-hmm.
Can be purchased and brought into the card room.
Right.
And as a convenience to probably 75% of my clients, I can cash checks for them.
All right.
The city will probably, I'm told by the city attorney, they have not made up their mind exactly, but they will probably grandfather in the hours of operation as opposed to the 6 to 2.
I don't know that they could take it away from you. I don't think they're doing you any favors.
And they will probably grandfather in the number of tables.
Mm-hmm.
They're very cautious in allowing alcohol to be served and being able to cash checks for the patrons. And my question to you, can they grandfather part of the regulation?
Hold on. Don't put the question that way.
Okay.
That's a bad question.
Okay.
In other words, don't question what they're doing that's good for you. You were going to say, can they grandfather part of it and not give the other part?
Uh-huh.
That's a very poor way to put it. They said, to hell with you, we won't grandfather anything. The question is, under what right do you take anything away I already have?
Okay.
You see the difference in the question?
Okay.
No, do you understand the difference in the question?
Yes.
The first way you're putting it to them, well, hey, you're giving me this. How come you don't give me the whole enchilada? And the answer there is, the heck with you. We would give you nothing.
Yeah, right.
What you're saying is, and you shouldn't ask the question, your attorney should.
Yes, that was part of an attorney should be engaged in my behalf.
But the question is, under what operational law do you take anything away that I already have?
And I think their contention is that's the way it's been and that's the way it's going to be.
Well, that's not necessarily a good answer. All that says is that we haven't been challenged up until now, unless there is precedent that says when something is annexed into the city, that we can impose different regulations. I think that would probably be difficult to support in court.
Okay. Is there difference between the part that is land use?
Yeah, and what is permitted.
Uh-huh.
The fact is that it's not a question of you're coming before them and asking them for a new use. The fact is that you are a, quote, victim of the spread of the city into the county, that's all.
Okay.
Of annexation.
Okay.
But by all means, there has to be some precedent in your state on this, and that's the reason you need an attorney.
All right.
But never ask a question like you were thinking about asking it.
No, this was in my, and what rights do you have?
No, I know.
The indignant of the whole thing.
Being indignant's not going to do it.
Right.
But the point is, never question that they're giving you something already. Don't challenge that.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome. May your whole life be a royal flush.
Thank you. Good night.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Memphis, Tennessee. We have about 2 minutes to share together.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Okay. I'm renting a house and I'm in Memphis, Tennessee.
And about in February, there was a water leak in my house. So the landlord got the pipe fixed, but the inside wall is still not fixed yet. And I called him, and he said, this is not on his priority list, and he will not get it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, basically, I mean, the house, basically it's not a bad living condition, but still the wall needs to be fixed.
What's wrong with the wall?
I mean, he had to cut the wall. The plumber had to cut the wall to get the pipe fixed. So he did fix the pipe, but the wall is broken.
It's drywall, right?
Right.
Well, I know that the landlord has the responsibility, all right?
Right.
But fixing drywall, you could do in a couple of hours. Why don't you just fix it and get it out of your life?
Well, I mean, I'm an accountant. I don't know how to fix it.
Well, you'll never... How old are you?
I'm 35.
You're never going to learn at 34. It's not that hard to do.
But I mean,
look. He's obligated to do it. Let's start with that, all right? But the realities are he doesn't give a rap. Now, you got an alternative. Try and break the lease. You don't want to do that. You don't want to move and whatever.
Right.
You got a crack in the wall where they had to cut through the drywall to put a pipe in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not... trust me on this one. If you get one of these little do-it-yourself books, Time, Life used to publish them, it is not hard to put a piece of drywall in there, to spackle it, to sand it down and paint it. The whole process, at the very best, is a 2-hour proposition. No, he's wrong and you're right, but hey, why would you aggravate yourself over a minor issue? I'd get it done. This is not a minor issue. Dan and I are going to be here for the next 5 hours from 10 p.m. Eastern right through 3 a.m. Eastern, looking for your call at 800-743-8000. Hey, don't disappoint us. Now, I know it isn't easy. Give it your best shot. Try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. Telephone number 800-743-8000, 800-743-8000. I'd like to hear from you. Cary, Illinois. Hello there.
Good evening, Bruce. Thank you for taking my call.
You're very, very welcome.
I'd like your insight in relationship to a situation I find myself. My mother passed away about 3 years ago, and my father passed away a month ago. Both of them have wills. My brother and I are the beneficiary of the wills.
Well, wait a while. Take a deep breath. Your mother died 3 years ago.
Correct.
Let's talk about, was her will probated?
Not really, no.
Hold it. It's not a question, not really. This is like being pregnant or jumping off a cliff.
No.
The will was not probated?
No.
All right, then everything effectively went to your dad then?
Correct.
Okay, so that's history now.
Right.
All right, now, your father had a will.
Correct.
Has that will been probated?
Not yet. That's why I'm calling.
Well, how come?
Just haven't done it.
Well, you have the original?
Yes.
In your possession?
Correct.
Who is named executor?
I don't know. I don't have it right where I'm at now. It's in a safe spot.
You must have read it. I mean, that's pretty much up front. Who's running this store?
Either my brother or myself are on it, so it's got to be one or two of us.
One of the two of you are the executors?
Correct.
Okay, go from there.
The estate of my father basically consists of a car, a house, some cemetery lots, and a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered...
How much in the bank account?
Just a checking account, about $1,000.
All right, fine. No stocks, no bonds?
No.
But there are personal effects which may or may not be worth something?
Not really. Just their clothes and et cetera in the house.
Jewelry?
Pardon me?
Jewelry?
None really, no.
Okay. And you said that there's a house. Is it mortgaged?
No, it's free and clear.
What's it worth?
Between 100 and 120.
Okay. So that's the how about insurance?
That we've sent in collection for that. We're the beneficiaries on the.
How much?
$6,000 total between two policies.
All right, so there's not a lot of money there.
No.
Okay. So where are we going to go from there?
My brother and I are thinking, after the will has been probated, to rent the house rather than dispose of it.
Well, it'll belong to you, too. I mean, there's nothing to prevent you from doing that. I don't know why you'd want to do that. How much can you get in rent for it?
About $1,200 a month.
And you say it's worth how much?
About 100 to 120.
Well, it's about the right rent.
It's in a very good location for rental.
But what is the purpose of doing that as opposed to just whacking it up?
Personal decision rather than taking the money and either spending it or investing it.
I'm not sure what you mean by a personal decision.
I like to handle my own money in relationship to, rather than give it to someone in the stock market, etc.
Well, I don't have any problem with that. But if you said, how old are you guys?
In our 40s.
No. You got 120 grand to play with. Let's assume that it's, right?
Correct.
And you want to be in the real estate business, right?
Correct.
All right, then that's not the smart way to do it.
Okay.
If you keep the house, you got a $120,000 house, don't you?
Right.
But if you sold the house, now you got $120,000 in tax-free dollars, right?
Okay.
Tax-free dollars. If you put that down as 20% on an investment property, are you with me so far?
Yeah.
How much would that be worth?
You tell me. I don't know.
Well, what's 20% of what? If 120 is 20%, what's 100%?
Oh, okay. All right.
600,000.
600,000. Yeah.
So now you'd have it, instead of having a $120,000 piece of property you were controlling, you'd be controlling a $600,000 property.
Yeah. That's a lot more.
Well, that's right. Now, obviously, you don't own that.
Right.
But you'd be paying it off.
Mm-hmm. I never gave that any thought.
If you're going to go in the real estate business, you don't own the building.
Okay, I see.
It's mortgaged, and then you work on the spread.
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much.
If that's what you're going to do, you're very welcome, my friend.
Right.
Corey, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Hello.
Bruce, very nice to talk to you. I have talked to you in person here in La Crosse a couple of times.
Yes, sir.
And a two-part question having to do with a tour to Alaska.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm looking at about 3 or 4 different tour operators.
Well, you can look at mine, too, at least.
Oh, well, yeah, I better get it down.
There you go.
All right.
I'm running one on the 28th of June.
28th. Well, that's a little later than we wanted to go. We wanted to go late May or early June, which, by the way, was part of my question.
That's pretty drafty.
Well, do you think so?
Yeah, I think I'm going in the latter part of June. I have gone as early as 4th of July.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't want to go much earlier than that.
Is that right?
No, sir.
Really?
It's just a little too chilly. And I wouldn't want to go in September.
Of course, we're from Wisconsin. We're used to that.
Well, yeah, but you're on vacation.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
But I vacation that way too. Anyway, I know your thoughts on that.
Okay.
Anyway, the second question, part of the question. One of the tour operators that I've been looking at will not take credit cards, and that surprises me.
That shouldn't surprise you.
Why?
Because they got to give up 3%. You're not talking about buying something for $6.
No.
We're
talking about $7,000 for a couple.
Well, that's an expensive cruise.
Well, it's land. It's 2 weeks. It's land.
Okay,
it's everything.
Okay.
Land, hotels, meals, and the works.
All right. So that's $740, $210 in
yes,
in charges. They don't want to give that up.
I see. Well, I guess I was worried that maybe they weren't very reliable.
No, it has nothing to do with reliability.
Okay.
It's you walk into many car dealers and try and buy a car and your credit card and see how far you get.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
Because it's a substantial discount.
Yeah, right.
If you get away, I bought a car on a credit card.
Well,
the guy was foolish, I think. He didn't want to take my check. I said, well, put in my credit card. Yeah, wise guy, credit card.
Well, he was hard up for sale.
Well, no, it's not that at all. He didn't think that the credit card company would take that kind of a charge.
Uh-huh.
And they took it a heartbeat.
Sure, yeah.
Because I knew what my credit line was well over the cost of an automobile.
Credit line. Well, that's right.
But the point is, then he said, I'll take your check. I said, you just bought me an airplane ticket.
I see.
I got a free airplane ticket for the mileage.
Well, okay. Some of the places do take a credit card.
Yes, they do. Well, but it's built in.
Yeah.
The cruise that we're running, I believe we do take the credit card.
And how do I get hold of that one?
Just drop me a note, or listen for the advertising, or drop me.
All right.
Or you can drop me a note if it's not on your station.
Yeah.
But I enjoy. I think I'll tell you this: when you go with me or not, it's not material. I'd love to have you with us. But the Alaska cruise is the primo cruise. It is real. Well, I have to admit though, the cruise to the Panama Canal we did this year was also outstanding. But the majesty of Alaska, and of Canada for that matter, because you'll be going through, you'll probably be leaving from Vancouver or from Seward coming the other way. I don't know which way you're going. Either way, just the mile after mile after mile, and nothing of untouched real estate.
Certainly.
I mean, I know you live in the wilds of the Midwest, but really, you can't get away from the power lines and everything else.
True.
But the majesty of that part of the world must be experienced to be believed.
Well, that's why we're going.
Well, I certainly hope you have a great time, my friend.
Well, thank you very much.
Take good care.
You too. Bye.
Des Moines, Iowa. Hello there.
Yeah, it's Bruce.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
What I'm calling about is it's been a long time since I've been job hunting.
Uh-huh.
And I'm in
what happened?
Nothing yet. I'm in a position, I've been in a position for 9 years as an assistant manager. I feel I'm ready to move up.
Assistant manager of?
Of a meat department. And I feel I'm ready to move up as a manager.
Okay.
Anyway, this is what I was told about a year and a half ago when I had my last evaluation.
And nothing's happening?
Yeah, nothing's really happening. We do have an opening coming up this weekend. We have a manager retiring, so something could happen. They could come in and tell me they want me there. I don't know.
Can you do something positive, like apply for the slot?
No, basically, no. All you can do is tell your supervisor you want to, keep putting the bug, keep putting the bug in your ear and things like in their ear. And I've been doing that. Been telling the supervisor every time there's something open that I want it. We do have, they're opening a new store up north in the state. Probably be opening up sometime in February. I'm thinking about writing a letter to the president of the company. He's the one that makes the final decision. And as one option, I've looked into some other situations because I've been I got transferred over a year ago to my current position, and my family really likes where we were before.
Where were you before?
Oh, up at Strawberry Point area. It's a real small town.
How far is that from Des Moines?
Oh, quite a ways. 3-4 hours.
Okay.
And
you still have to have a passport, though.
Huh?
You don't have to have a passport to go.
No, you don't have to have a passport, but it's a pretty part of the state. It's in the northeast part of the state.
All right.
And they kind of like it there. So I've kind of looked into some places in the Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Cedar Rapids area, which is about an hour drive. Currently,
are there vacancies available?
They hire from time to time. I've applied with a competitive company, and I've written to the company's main office, and I've also taken applications to several different stores in those places.
Sure.
Now, as a follow-up, I did call them after a week after I dropped off the application, because most of those places are very big, and they just, where you give them an application.
The application can wind up in a very dark spot.
Well, yeah, they say, well...
Stand by just a minute. Hang on, we'll chat about it. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Hi, I'm chatting with a gentleman in Des Moines, Iowa. He's been applying for a manager's job in the meat cutting department. Figures after a decade he's due. Where do we go from there? You're doing all the right things, touching the buttons, talking to the competition.
Well, yeah, I've like I say, I dropped off the applications, and when you go in, they say, well, they'll look them over, and if they want to interview you, they'll get in touch with you. So I've contacted them back, I've called them back, and now I wonder if I should send a follow-up letter, if that is a good idea.
Never hurts. Let me ask you this. What's to stop you from dropping into a couple of stores and talking to the managers?
Yeah, I've gone that route.
Get acquainted.
When I've done that. Oh, not much, I guess. I can do that.
What's to lose?
Yeah, there's nothing. I did stop in a lot of these places, and even now have personnel managers in their stores, which blows my mind. That they have a...
We now call that human resources.
Yeah.
Gotta get the right word here.
They were calling it that, but yeah, they're human resources people. But I'm just, I guess I'm kind of. I've heard you talk about resumes, and you've said keep it simple.
My opinion.
And basically, I've done that. I've given them, my education background. And my work experience.
Well, work experience would seem to me, in your craft, is far more important than the educational background.
Yeah, I do have a BS degree. I taught school for several years.
Is that right? What are you doing as a meat cutter?
I was teaching junior high, and I kind of got burned out. I decided I got to change, and I grew up in the grocery business. My father had a store, so I guess it was in my blood, and that's how I got back into it.
Have you considered doing that?
What's that?
Starting your own business.
Oh, it takes. I've looked into some different possibilities. It takes a lot of money.
Yeah, yes, it does.
And I'm at the point. I'm pushing 48, and like I say, I've been with this company for 15 years. I'm up there. I've got some pretty decent benefits. And, I don't know if I want to start over at this late in life.
Well, that's another program. But following up never did anybody any harm, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, so I'm planning on writing them letters. I do know the people that I need to contact. I've gotten that information from their courtesy desk clerk that has taken the application.
Indeed. And good luck with it, Guy, but be persistent.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce.
It's been good talking to you.
And I enjoy listening to your program.
Merced, California. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
Great. I'm a long-time listener of about 11 years. First time I've called you here. The reason I called is on behalf of my parents. They own some vacant property down in Louisiana, about 20 acres. There's no buildings on the property or anything, but I do know that people go hunting out there, and I was wondering if it's necessary that they have liability insurance coverage on that.
Always.
Okay, would that be like covered under an umbrella policy?
No. I doubt seriously if property as large, and I don't know this, I would doubt that a property as large as this would be covered automatically by their homeowners. It could be, but I doubt it.
Okay.
But anytime, not just in your circumstance or your folks' circumstance, anytime you have vacant property, it should be covered by liability insurance. Not you mentioned hunters are attracted to this particular tract.
Yes.
But there's other things. You can have a vacant lot. Never mind 20 acres. Have 100 by 100, right?
Right.
A couple of kids go across the vacant lot and get hurt. Guess who's going to get sued?
The owners of the property?
Absolutely, as certain as the sun comes up in the east.
Well, I thought that was the case, but I thought I would run it by you.
Well, you did good, because most people forget that. As long as there's nothing on it, well, what do I have to insure?
Right, so it would be a separate policy.
Well, I would say take it to my agent. It could be that it would be covered by your, could be incorporated into your home. I don't know that to be the case.
Okay.
I'd be surprised with a property as large as this. But certainly a liability policy is an absolute requisite.
Okay.
Good luck, guys.
Okay,
But you raise a very good question, and you may save somebody a lot of grief because they'll act on what you've suggested. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Tacoma, Washington. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I couldn't be better, baby. What's on your mind?
Well, do you know you're the best thing that happened to America since graham crackers and Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid? Nice, I think. Kool-Aid has some nasty connotations in it.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right.
What I wanted to ask you, 5 of us gals are going in April down to Reno from Washington.
Oh, my goodness, down to a little Sin City, huh?
Sin City, right.
All right.
Without
Reno's without. You can find men there. There's lots of them.
So they tell me, but I'm the only available one. I'm the grandmother.
Listen, you'll all be available, but that's all right.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. It'll be myself, my daughter, my 2 granddaughters, and my grandson's wife.
Oh.
And she's about 23. She's the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
And she has never flown. And she's scared to death. In fact, she gets sick just driving by an airport. What can we do? Sitting in the aisle seat, does that help?
Well, first of all, there are courses for people like your granddaughter, and she ought to take one of them to teach you how to fly.
Yeah, right.
It's hard for me to identify, to empathize with somebody who's afraid to fly, because I just, I fly. I mean, as you may know, I'm a pilot. But aside from that, I fly commercially more than most people do.
Yes, I know. I know you do.
It's just so routine. It's hard for me to understand why anybody would be be concerned about that. But there are people that are. There's some very well-known people that have been.
Yes.
And if you call a couple of the airlines, I think American may be one of them. It doesn't. You call a couple of the airlines.
Yes.
They have courses, literally courses for people like her, and you do her a great favor by paying for one.
Okay. Yeah, they said that she even gets sick just driving near an airport.
Well, that's unfortunate for you, particularly for a young person, because you are so restricted if you can't fly.
Oh, I know. That's the only way I like to go.
Oh, it's the only way to travel.
Right.
Any distance.
Yeah, right.
If you have oceans of time and whatever, that's a different matter.
Oh, and another thing I wanted to tell you, I purchased your book, America Ask Bruce.
Yes, ma'am.
And I loved it quite some time ago. But one big disappointment.
What was that?
No picture of Mickey.
Oh, my goodness gracious. He's over here across the room snoring away.
I can hear him sometimes. We don't get you here until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, right. And I do volunteer work 3 days a week, and I get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's terrible.
But I have my radio on, and you're with me all night, but I sleep through it.
Well, I'm soporific. Anyway, call a couple of the airlines, or a travel agent might be able to steer you, but your granddaughter really ought to think about taking one of these help you be a more comfortable flyer thing. I have an acquaintance. Actually, it was a fellow that my son went to high school with, and he stopped in to see me over the Christmas holidays, and I said to him, "How you doing with flying, Pete?" He said, "Just fine." He's a police officer, tough as nails, weightlifter, scared to death to get on an airplane.
Isn't that something?
Now, but one day he finally got on a plane and just took a ride. And I said, "How'd you manage that, Pete?" He said, "Well, you told me that you were so much more comfortable when Michael was flying home than driving his van home because it was so much safer."
Yes.
And I did tell him exactly that because I meant it. I would have far rather, when Mike was in college, this is some years ago, when Mike was in college, I was a lot more comfortable when he got on, instead of driving that Pennsylvania Turnpike for 3,500 miles in that rickety old van.
Yeah.
When he got on that 737, I felt a lot better and felt I was much better prepared to pay for that than I was gasoline.
Well, I'm with you.
He kind of looked put about that, and now he flies all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, it just kind of broke the ice.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate your help. And
it's not, if she's that far gone, she's not going to get over it by herself.
She's not what?
If she's that
far gone,
I don't think she'll get over it without some help.
Oh, I see.
And it comes the day to leave, she's just liable not to get on a plane.
Yeah, I know. I had some friends, and whenever they went to Reno, and she wasn't a drinking gal, she had to have a couple of snorts before she got on the plane.
I'm not going to. It's not really the greatest thing in a place to drink, but I'm not going to quarrel very much. Years and years ago, boy, more years than I'm ever going to admit to you. My eldest son went to the airport with his mother and his grandmother.
Yes.
And his grandmother was going to visit her grandchildren. And, grandmothers will walk through fire to visit grandchildren.
Of course.
You know how that goes.
Yes, I know.
Well, she was already, the grandmother was at the airport. This is, got to be 30 years ago. And the kid was a little, he was certainly talking, but not very big. And Grandma was doing okay. And I guess she had a couple of fingers of whiskey to kind of
relax.
She had a little liquid courage there, right?
Right.
And everything is going pretty good, and they're getting ready to leave. And the little kid looks up and says, "Hey, Mommy, when is Grandma going to blast off into space?" I thought, I heard Grandma almost collapsed, and 3 more belts, bartender.
Oh, that's cute.
The grandchild tearing the kid down. Anyway, have a great trip, my dear.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce, and lots of luck to you.
Thank you so
much. I wish you would come on a little bit earlier in the Northwest out here, but...
Well, that's up to your individual station. You can talk to them about that. All righty, to Zellwood. Sounds like something out of a Scott Fitzgerald. Zellwood, Florida. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Listen, I live down here in Florida, and I have I live in a large mobile park, very large mobile park, and I have a blue aluminum siding on